told me I had to sit down for this, and it's fucking weird. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Premier League and Europa League preview show. I know, as many of you know, I hate doing this fucking podcast, but here I am. Thanks for turning up and trusting us, you fucking idiots, for letting us do your Sunday night. Look, on a serious note, we never thought we'd do a live show. When I started the podcast in my mum's spare bedroom 6 years ago during COVID, if they said you're going to do a live show with Aiden McGeady and other people, I would have been like, but we've gone on to bigger and better things, a little bit like Bruno Guimaraes, Anthony Gordon, Sandro Tonali. But look, Lewis Hall, we're rooting for you, mate. You'll get there in the end. But yeah, look, brilliant. We did the last live show here with Collis Edwards. Anyone here in May? Thanks for coming back. Why? No, on a serious note, thanks very much. I think at the time we were chatting about getting into Europe and how amazing it would feel. And look, I know it's been a slow summer in terms of signings, but we're going to be in Europe next season. That's pretty good, isn't it? I can't see any of you, by the way. The lights are like... So thanks for making the noise. But, without further ado, I've got a few people from the podcast who are going to come and join me. So one by one, first and foremost, I am joined by Ian Dobson. Hey. Looking dashing in his pink. I'm also joined by Peter Oliver. You'll sit where I'm told you, son. I'm also joined by all 6'9" of Alex Bilton. Gives really warm cuddles. And I'm joined by a man whose brother has a lot of explaining to do, a special guest for this evening, Mr. Lee Howie. Do you want to do it?
Your brother is a cunt. He certainly is.
It's like not doing it for like the wrong thing, but look, first and foremost, like I said, great season ahead, hopefully. It feels exciting, probably the best in my lifetime, I would say, give or take. Alex, I'll come to you first because I can actually see you. How excited are you for the season ahead? And if you can make this last for about a minute so I can pour me wine out, that'd be great.
Great. I'm absolutely buzzing. I think the thing I'm most buzzing for has to be probably invading a city somewhere in Europe with 10,000 magnums, probably for a 3-day bender, probably not coming home, getting involved with the missus.
I'm getting married in 2 weeks, mate, so keep it.
No, it's just going to be so unique, and from my point of view, I never saw this ever happening, and it may never happen again, so I think I'm just going to absolutely make the most of it. Even if I can't get tickets, I think I'll probably go to every city, try and get in, get the ferry, whatever I can do to get there. But it's best team, best year, I think, in my life, and hopefully it'll get better.
Or your membership?
What's it? I have, yeah, but
that's 48 quid.
I source my tickets in different ways, which is a bit dodgier than getting the ballot, but I'll get there.
Brilliant. Please edit that from the podcast. No, but I think it is like it's going to be an amazing thing, and I think I agree with you, like going to these different cities and stuff like that and invading them and stuff like that. Going to places and winning, like, it can get a bit boring just going to St. James's all the time and doing that repeatedly, so it'd be nice to do it somewhere else. Oh, by the way, thanks for the memories, Eddie. Cheers. Pete, look, talking about Europe and stuff like that, I think there's a lot of chat about fucking second season syndrome. It's like the difficult second album, which just doesn't exist. But what would constitute a positive season for you, both in the league and also in Europe? Like, what would be the lowest point that someone could have this season and you'd go, that actually worked out all right?
I knew I was going to get that question. I saw the questions before.
I did send it to you.
Right, yeah, you did send them to me. Look, if you'd asked us last year, I was the one saying 17th. I said, oh, look, 17th on goal difference and I'll be happy. Spoke to Rob Mason, Sunderland's official historian, who will be on this stage later, before this show, and he was like, and actually I agree with him instead. So maybe I just don't have any convictions in my own opinions. That could be one thing. But and he said, I would have been furious if they'd finished 17th last year because they were better than that. They were a better team. After hearing that, yeah, this Sunderland side, as Alex said, probably the best in my lifetime. So where am I going to say league positions? Top 10. with a solid performance in the Europa League. I think what we saw yesterday, I know it's a friendly match, and what we've been doing, thanks for everybody for sticking through us through these friendly games as we've been going, oh, it's great when they win, and when it goes bad, we go, that doesn't matter, it's a friendly. But it's the way it happens. But yesterday in that friendly match, look, next week, that centre-half who Brian Brobby bounced into the West Stand.
Hilarious.
Is going to be lining up against Paris Saint-Germain, I think. So they're no mugs, and they're teams that you're going to be playing in the Europa League. My head is well and truly gone. I've already got a hotel booked with me dad in Frankfurt. I'm saying we're winning the bloody thing, and we're going into the Champions League, and we'll see what happens. But I do think, no, okay, I'm going to hedge. Yes, we're winning it. We're going to the Champions League. I am going to say, though, I think they'll show themselves well. I'm convinced that they will perform well. That doesn't mean that they will win it, but I think we will not be disappointed in them.
I think the real test, though, you're talking about booking Frankfurt, which we've all clearly done, but the real test is if you book it without the cancellation. If you go for the full hug and you go, you know what, fuck it, I'll pay.
I've gone each way. I've gone each way. No, I've gone each way. I've got a cancellation in there.
Oh, I thought you were saying you'd paid for it, because the thing is, like I said before, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. He's a guest and I need money, man. So if he's made of that kind of money, you could distribute that in my...
No, that's coming out your wedding gift, mate.
That would be great. Lee, it's something that none of us as fans have ever experienced. It's something that as players, because of the format of Europe compared to what it used to be, is different.
Yeah.
You can't really put yourself in that position, but as a player, how would you be approaching the season ahead, knowing that you've got all these games to go on, you've had a good, successful season, which adds pressure?
Huge amount of pressure, but again, just going back to what the lad said, I'm 57-year-old. This, for me, last season was the best season I've ever seen in my life. Because I was a bit too young for 73, and obviously that era, I was only 3 or 4 year old. But to see that, and I've just dreamt about it all my life, to do what you just said, go into Europe, just invade a city, just tens of thousands of Sunderland fans, just see the red and white everywhere. Definitely I'll be there, ticket or not, and that's been one of my lifetime ambitions to watch Sunderland in Europe. But on a player's perspective, they'll just take it like they did last season. Yeah. They'll just take it game by game, and we've got an unbelievable manager who's very pragmatic. He just sees every game as it comes, was maybe slightly different. He tweaks here and there who he's going to play. But then you've got Xhaka sat in there, just dictating. And for me, they're very, very solid. Be it offensively, we still struggle a little bit, but I think would be difficult to beat. But take the last 2 games, Lone and Rennes, I mean, they're the equivalent of what we're going to be playing against. Yeah. And I thought, again, we held our own, and I thought we were much better than the two of them. I mean, second half on Saturday, I thought we ripped them apart, really. And we were great in lawns. So, yeah, Champions League. And
here we go. I'll see you in Frankfurt first.
Yeah, I did have a look, and I couldn't get a free cancellation, so I bottled it for a little while. But I might have a look again tonight.
Don't worry, Lee, we can snuggle.
Can we? Ian, I think we've looked at the like everyone likes a new transfer, don't they? Everyone's got excited that we're signing this new left back from France. That how many times have we watched him collectively? Probably about 10 times in the room across. But we're excited because he's highly rated. The good stuff's happening, and we want players to come in. But I think probably something that's not been, and sort of Lee touching it there about the way the team has approached every challenge they have. Probably one of the biggest successes. We started the summer with interest in Xhaka. 8 million apparently, but we've managed to hang on to all these players that really impressed. How big of a positive is that we've kept the squad together? So like what we do add is going to be in addition to, because I think some of us wouldn't have been that surprised if a Siddiqui or a Roofs was taken in the summer, because kind of just the way it goes sometimes. Like how positive is that?
Massively. I think the positions where people were linked away, like Xhaka and Roofs and Siddiqui, like you mentioned, that's the spine of the team.
Yeah.
If even 1 or 2 of those guys went, it's going to be a massive rebuilding job. But you know, the new French lad that's coming in, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name.
Aiden McGeady.
Yeah.
I'm French now.
And I mentioned this before, the fact that we've gone from signing young kids who weren't getting a look in at the Premier League clubs to the incumbent France left back for the next 10 years. It's refreshing. It just shows how far we've come. But definitely a positive to keep all the Roofs and Siddiqui. Hopefully it's for a good few years, and we can lift the Champions League trophy with them next summer. So, or 2 summers, you know.
It's all been recorded, Graham.
Heads have gone.
Yeah, mine's completely
so
fine.
clippable.
I wanted to touch on that as well. Lee, when it comes to like team spirit and being within a team. I mean, I don't know any of the lads, but they look pretty solid and they're happy together, and it looks like you've got your leaders, which is Xhaka, Nordi. They look like the leaders in the team, and the young lads look up to them, and they want to fight for each other. Yeah. How big will that be for the dressing room, that like maybe even some of them would have gone, well, one or two might go from this, we might have to replace and kind of adjust. Yeah. The fact that they're all, touch wood, still here, ready to look forward to a season that they've just experienced an amazing season. They're going to go into this season where European football's there. They've seen what the atmosphere can be like, and they're going, oh, we're all still here, we're all still together, we're all still part of this project. How positive is that for the dressing room?
It's absolutely massive. I mean, when you think about, it's been quiet on the transfer front, but I think that's been our biggest collective win for Sunderland, which is keeping everybody. I think that you just keep that team spirit, and anybody comes in will come into that. Seems to be a real solid squad that know how to play, keep it. They seem to be enjoying the football, and again, I think we all do. We're just connected to the team, and I think that's what really helps when your fans are connected to the players. It just lifts them, and I think when new players will come in, and I think there'll be still one or two others that will come in. We'll just be coming into a really solid, well-run football club with unbelievable fans, and they just want to be part of it. And I think that is just a massive bonus for us going forward. And again, still progress in the Premier League, but I think a good showing in the Europa League is definitely on the cards.
Peter, you touched before jokingly about us winning the Champions League and all that kind of stuff, but I think I looked at the Europa League's got some good teams in it, really good teams in it. Like fantastic. I think Juve's in there, AC Milan,
Benfica,
right. There's a few decent teams in. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a home game because Rangers and Hearts fucked it. But I knew someone would laugh at that. But you look at the Europa League, and last season Villa won it. Yep. Villa are a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting us on the same pedestal. But Forest got the semi-final. Yep. And Forest did really, really well and get there as well. Yes, they had that kind of struggle in the league, but they still came to us and won 5-0. Like, things were safe. They were fine. Like, we're all very excited about being in the Europa League and at risk of kind of tempting fate here. How far can we actually go in it? Because we're also one of those good teams.
Without wanting to jump back on my nonsense that I was before about saying that we can win it, there is no reason why, if that Sunderland team plays as well as they can against the opposition that they're going to be coming up against, no matter how great the names are historically and currently, the squads for teams like Juventus, AC Milan, Benfica, we've talked about. Sunderland are a very good team. They will give them a very good game. And there is no reason why we can't progress very far. As you've mentioned, Forest got to semi-finals. I'm not going to say I think Sunderland can get there, because I realised as I was about to, there was something in the back of my head went, you don't think that, Peter.
Is it conscience?
That's my conscience. I've been keeping them quiet for a long time, a lot of years. But it's, this was what I always ever wanted as a Sunderland fan, was just to see them play in Europe once. And now I'm sitting here going, they're going to win the bloody thing. They might. They're a good enough side. They've got good enough players. They've, you look at Brian Brobby, you look at Granit Xhaka, you look at the likes of Noah Siddiqui, a wonderfully gifted player.
Can we get your Noah Siddiqui story? He promised he would tell a Noah Siddiqui story, because he bumped into him a day after we beat Chelsea and got Europe. And he just texted me, I've never heard the story, so this could be very cancelable. It's a big risk. He just went, just seen Noah Siddiqui in the airport toilets. And I just walked up to him. So feel free to fucking end the podcast.
In the urinals.
Right.
I mean,
before we start this, I have form with speaking to people at urinals. This now feels like something else. Hi, my name's Peter, and I have a problem. So it first became a problem that was noticeable when it was... it first became a problem when it was noticeable when I started speaking. I was in
you looked down and went, oh!
I'm a journalist. I cover politics during the days and weeks. I was in the Chancellery where Angela Merkel at the time was living, and Francois Hollande had just become French president. He flew over.
What was this about Noah Siddiqui?
It gets there. It gets there. It gets there. So basically, I went into a bathroom right there. Turns out Francois Hollande stood next to us, and I just talked to him. I then did this again during the World Cup while I was working in 2018 to both Glenn Hoddle and Chris Waddle. So Diamond Lights, both of them on separate occasions. So I was very conscious about not talking to him as I went there, because he was on my flight, I'd seen him, and I was, hi, no. Then didn't think that was about it. Goes to go for a wee and looks, and I went, that's Noah Siddiqui. Do not talk to him.
How could you tell?
Well, because I turned and looked, and I went, bloody hell, that's Noah Siddiqui. And I looked at it and says, that's it. I said, that's no secret. So I said, do not talk to him. Do not talk to him. I said, well, you've got to say something. So what I did is I just made sure I didn't look at him anymore, finished up what I was doing, washed my hands quickly, went out the toilet, turned on my heels, doubled back as he was walking out and went, oh, Noah, hi, how are you doing? And said, thank you very much for everything he's done with Sunderland this year. Please stay. I love him to bits. Can I have a picture? So that's my note. So...
I've seen the picture as well.
A fine young man. A fine young man, so he is. Anyway, yes, so... But apparently, but really, when all I said to him, I just kept saying, thank you. I wish I could have said something else. I just kept going, no, thank you. Thank you. No, thank you.
He did text me when I said thank you 52 times.
Thank you. But yeah, so I didn't speak to him at the urinal, thankfully. I have broken that, but I did make a fool of myself again in front of a Sunderland player.
And also, any stranger just walking in to a 40-something-year-old man just repeatedly apologising to a 20-year-old in the airport toilets could raise a few suspicions.
Not even by the way, this was not in the airport toilets. We've already covered that. This was in the doorway, blocking everybody from coming in and out of the airport toilets.
Specifically, the 20-year-old from...
You were basically patrolling him a little bit like Jacka with fucking Joe Linton at St James's.
Just a bit. Marshall.
Don't fucking leave. I wanted to talk about Jacka and bring us back to normality, which is clearly not going to happen. But Lee, you played under, in my opinion, the best Sunderland captain that will ever exist in Kevin Ball. And if anyone disagrees with that, you can, but you're wrong.
Bally.
Jacka is very much like a massive character. We know what he brings in terms of his quality on the pitch, but in terms of his character, you can see he's the fucking leader of the ship, much like Kevin Ball was. It feels like a lifetime ago that he was linked to Chelsea, but how massive is that we've kept him, not for the stuff he does on the pitch. You can replace things like that, but the leadership was always my worry when he was linked. How important is that? Because you look at the likes of Kevin Ball, it's probably underplayed when he got his 2 promotions in 96. And also like the year after was 99. How important is it that we kept the likes of Jacka in the dressing room for these leadership?
Yeah, the guy in Mukalele, they create an atmosphere, a process that the young players see. Everybody just sees, and it's just like you turn up for work, literally. You've got to enjoy it, but this is the process. There's no pissing about. We're doing this, and if you train properly and train well and look after yourself, and that's the mentality they go for. And to have that, and to look at probably things, Xhaka, I mean, I've got a 22-year-old son, and even last season he kept pinching himself. He kept saying, that's Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, I did that.
Playing for Sunderland.
I did that.
Literally, I just can't believe it. And if you're a young pro or pro coming up and you are playing with Granit Xhaka, and you can see how unbelievably professional he is, and an unbelievable human being. You know, he puts his arm around the players. He looks after them. You know, it is very much. He's a super family man. He looks after all the players. You can just see there's a humanity around the squad as well, that they stick together. I mean, then you've got Luke O'Nien. You've got some great characters. But again, we forget how young this team is.
Yeah.
I mean, they are kids. I mean, you're talking 22, 23.
Don't have to tell Pete that.
And we haven't even mentioned Chris Rigg yet.
I was just about to mention, you think of Chris Rigg and the development that lad's coming on. I think he struggled last season, I think, trying to get to grips with the Premier League, but towards the end of when he was coming on, I think, and the last couple of this pre-season games, when he's come on, he's made a hell of a difference. And I think this could be another breakthrough for him because he broke through in the Championship, and I think this could be his big season this so far. But I think the older heads really look after I think Reggie Libris obviously does the tactics and stuff like that, but the inner sanctum of that dressing room is Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can hold on to your captain, even if he apparently wants to leave. Apparently you can keep them if you just say no. Who would have known? But look, final question. I'm going to bring on, we've got Rob Mason coming up, Sunderland historian, asking me a little about the time Sunderland were last in Europe and loads of other good stuff. We've got James and Phil, which is perfect, the fact that like we had a sign-in thing break yesterday because I was like, thank fuck, because I was really struggling for questions because there's only so many times you go, Europa League's really good. And then we've got, of course, Aiden McGeady, who, has anyone been to a night with Aiden McGeady before? Oh, amazing, cool, okay. Like, brilliant. Like, you're in for a treat, I promise you, and I think we're going to look at, like, sort of 9 o'clock. Did anyone get the meet and greet beforehand?
Yeah.
Cool, fantastic. So you were the ones that kept me sitting in that seat for ages and unprepared. No, thank you on a serious note, cheers. Final question for sort of each and every one here, like, quick, short and sharp. Who will be Sunderland's player of the season come this time, well, sort of this time next year? Alex?
Enzo.
Oh, I fucking love that.
Got that.
I'm 40 next month, and I went to the shop when this came out, and I went, long sleeve, Europa League badges, Enzo Lefebvre on the back now. Because it's fine. I bought 2 of them. Has everyone bought all 3 shirts? Am I the only one that thinks that 3rd shirt, which apparently this is a controversial opinion, I don't think it's amazing. I think it's all right. I think the other 2 are better. I really like the pink one, but it's got Brian Broby, Europa League moment, we're all fucking over it. It just looks at you like, yeah, he's scoring in Milan in that. We discussed that before, Pete.
And you've set me right up for mine. It's Big Brian. I think he's going to absolutely demolish them this year.
I can't stop laughing at his goal yesterday, by the way.
It's class.
Like, I've never seen anything like the way he just kind of went move. Like, and I watched back that goal he scored against the Scum often, and the thing I really enjoy about it is that you sometimes see players celebrate in front of the opposition fans, and then they realise, oh shit, there's loads of them. That fucker doesn't flinch. Like, he just stares directly at them, and I know, like, God rest his soul. Unfortunately, God rest his soul, he's not dead. Getrauda. My favourite moment of that is Getrauda repeatedly just shouting to the Leazer's end, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. That's exactly how I felt. You said Broby.
Brian.
Lee, where do you see kind of...
I am going to be super predictable. I think where Lefebvre and Broby will have their moments, I think just Granit Xhaka will just be the man that just pulls all the strings, runs everything together. Again, and his experience in the Europa League will just be phenomenal. Yep, it's got to be Granit for me.
Yeah, he underpins the whole thing, doesn't he? Ian, I know where you're going with this.
Well, oh, there he is.
Oh, is it the Broby goal? Yeah.
We'll just watch this
Genuinely
again.
quite funny. Like, no other striker on this planet would go, well, I could just push him out the way. Like, me and Pete were like, we researched the defender as well. He's a big bastard. Like, and he plays every fucking week. And next week he's playing against PSG. And he just went, right, okay, so he's like, all right, he could maybe do better with that. But then he's like, move. Like,
Lovely stuff.
The reaction where they all just go, and it's not like, what are you doing? It's like, is that a human being that's just done that?
I don't think
Keeper literally goes,
I don't think
what the
Dan
fuck are
Burn's
you
got
doing?
much to say about it.
Like 3 fingers left, man, wouldn't it?
How was your battle with Dan Burn? It was good in the end. I won. And he fucking did. But yeah, I mean, I know who you feel is the most important player, but like, I'll give you the chance to just say it out loud.
Just Enzo.
Yeah.
Everything's about Enzo.
It is.
There'll be games where Xhaka isn't playing, and because he won't be able to play all those games. But we've been playing with 2 sitting in the middle, and he'll be one of them, and he'll just be a quarterback, and he'll run the show. I don't think we'll miss Xhaka that much if he misses games. I think Enzo Lefebvre is just as good.
Before I move on to chatting with Rob Mason, there was a few people talking about this event because Aiden, who was a really good player for us in the league we didn't want to be in, some people, I don't want to really relive the League One days. Just want to point something out. It wouldn't have felt as good if we didn't go through that, would it?
Nah.
Like, that's what makes it feel better, doesn't it? Like, we all fucking stuck through it, and now we're reaping our rewards. Like, we didn't just get took over by oil merchants and whatnot, and, like, just buy our way to, like, some level of success. We fucking earned it. And it feels really good. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, look, Alex, Lee, Pete.
Thank you.
Ian, please give me lots of money on my wedding. Thanks very much for your time. You can as well, Lee.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as promised, I can't leave my seat for a while. Did everyone get a raffle ticket on the way in, by the way? So we got a signed shirt from the, what was it called, the Carling Cup 2014? We got a signed shirt from that era, so that's one of the prizes. We got the Chicker Trade Trophy signed by Aiden as well. So we've got a couple of prizes up for tonight as well, which you guys can have. You can choose what you want, whichever you choose out first. But is Rob here? Because I can't see anyone. You're on your way. Fantastic. Rob's going to be coming on the stage, as you can probably tell. If you see him coming on, let me know, because I can't see shit. By the way, thanks for coming down on a Sunday night. We didn't realize it was Sunday for like a while, and then went, oh yeah, we've asked people to come down on the Sunday, but you can't get in. Somebody help. Help. Can somebody open the door, please? Do you know when we did the Collis Edwards night, we went, it all went so swimmingly. Oh, that was really good. I fucking knew it. Shambles, standard. Did anyone really come to this like live podcast and go, they're so professional? They don't actually listen to it. I'm so sorry. I genuinely mean that.
Better late than never.
There we go. Woo! Yeah, feel free, mate. Wherever you want. First and foremost, Rob, sorry for locking you out, mate.
It's all right. I've been locked out of better places than this. Don't worry.
I've been locked in better places, I tell you. Did someone just say Will Grigg?
Gilbridge.
Oh, I thought someone said Will Grigg. I was like, fucking hell, man. Jesus, PTSD. Look, Rob, European football has been nothing but a dream, as we all just discussed about it before. It's now not a dream. It's a reality. I think during the League One days, which wasn't that long ago, you couldn't have really imagined maybe that we would be in the Premier League, let alone the Europa League. It felt so far away, but now it's here. You've been watching the lads since 1967?
First game was 67, yeah.
See, I did my research. So you caught a very brief spell as a young lad in Europe. How excited are you for this particular era of Sunderland?
I'm very excited, really looking forward to it. To be honest, throughout most of last season, I was hoping that, to be really honest, I was hoping we might just miss out on Europe, have a really good season. But I was thinking we need to really consolidate our place in the Premier League. But as it got closer and closer towards the end, and I sensed why not go for it, particularly as anybody younger than me has not really seen Sunderland in Europe, and I know how much it means to so many people, including my two sons, for us to be into Europe. So the longer it went on, the more excited I got about the fact, yeah, let's just do it. And as the guys on stage have just been saying, you know, how much they're looking forward to it, and I'm fully on board with that. So very, very exciting.
Can I ask, did anyone cry when it happened? Because I did. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, cry over very few things. Wembley, shed a tear. Dan Ballard sweated a lot. And also at the same night, I think I told my soon-to-be wife, fiancée, that the Dan Ballard moment would be better than any child we could ever possibly have. And she asked me for the explanation as to why, and I said, well, unless the baby comes out and heads it in off the bar against Coventry, I'm going to expect it coming. I was like, so the surprise won't be there. I'll know that it's there. I'll see the crowning. I know what's happening. Like, Ballard, I didn't expect that. Yeah, I've got ADHD. You can tell. Look, Sunderland last played in Europe, 73, 74 European Cup Winners' Cup. What parallels do you see between the buzz that was around the city then, which clearly would have been, we just won the FA Cup, to the buzz that you see now?
The buzz now is 1,000,000 times more than it was in 73 for Europe. I was 15, so I was at the 2 home games in 73. I wasn't at the 2 away games. There's no way I could afford it, and there's no way my mum would let me go jaunting off around Europe and miss 2 days off school just before my exams. But no, when we played Vasas Budapest at home in our first ever European game, it was the lowest crowd of the season so far. And when we played Sporting in the next round, while there was 31,000 there, it was 7,000 less than we had for a League Cup tie a week or 2 later. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that really was that the double. I think this year people have been quite pleased that the prices, while expensive, are maybe not as expensive for the Europa League as a lot of people were thinking they might be.
Yeah, delighted.
But in 1973, the club in their infinite wisdom doubled the prices of admission. So it went to the astronomical prices of £1 to stand and £2 to sit. And the reason for that, the reason given for that was to upgrade the floodlights so they were appropriate for, you know, suitable for colour television. It was an early example of how the television fan gets favoured ahead of the fan who actually goes to the games. Mm. You know,
things have not changed, have they?
No, not at all. Not when you think, you know, our second home game of the season is at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night against Arsenal, and Arsenal fans have got to try and get back from Sunderland.
I'm more annoyed at them about the Fulham game. Yeah. My wife-to-be will be coming down the aisle at 2 o'clock on Sunday the 30th of August. And I've told everyone, like I told everyone, everyone's really excited about the wedding, right? Then the Sky changed the fixture and everyone went, fuck. Fuck. First game of the season. So I've got them giving me specific signals as she's walking down the aisle for whether Enzo's in the left wing position or the 10. This is the left wing. This is in the middle. And they won't let us stream it either, which is a pain in the ass. But Europe's changed massively since that time. Like, it's not the way it used to be. So we've got a guaranteed 8 games, whether we win the first 5, whether we lose the first 5.
Absolutely.
There's a guaranteed 8 games. Like, how significant of a period is this in Sunderland's history? Because we talk about a lot of it being a big moment in our lifetime, but if you look at Sunderland's history, it's right up there.
It's gigantic. So when we played Vasas, Budapest and Sporting Lisbon in 73-74 season, we had a little minuscule taste before that, 3 or 4 years before that, in a 5th-rate competition called the Anglo-Italian Cup, right? Which wasn't really, it was a competition, but it wasn't like a major competition. So I'd got to see Fiorentina, Cagliari, Lazio and Atalanta at Roker Park. But there was such vast interest in them. I think the highest gate was just this is the highest gate of the 4 home games, was just under 5,000. Nobody was interested. The first team were doing really badly, we just got relegated and so on and so forth. But we had seen some continental teams at Roker Park in recent history in games that weren't actually friendlies. Don't get me wrong, when we won the cup, obviously it was brilliant. I was lucky enough to see 8 of the 9 games in the cup run when we won the FA Cup in 73. And obviously everybody was thrilled to bits with the winning of the FA Cup and thrilled to bits to be in Europe, but it was nowhere like, my memory is, while there's never been a buzz anywhere like the buzz leading up to the FA Cup final in 73. Absolutely nowhere near it. But the reaction to being in Europe was a pale shadow of what it is this season. We didn't have, your guys there were saying we'll get 10,000 people going to a European game. Well, I'll be shocked if there's only 10,000 there.
Same.
I think you can I think you can double that.
Yeah.
I think you can double that as the people go. Everybody I know says, I think I've got no chance of a ticket, but I'm absolutely, definitely going. So there was nothing like that in 73. Though I have recently, this is for the programmes we'll have in those 4 guaranteed European games that we've got at the Stadium of Light. I have recently been interviewing a number of fans who did travel to Vasas and did travel to Budapest, especially those that can bring me little bits of souvenirs they had from the places they went. And I've been listening to their personal stories, not about the games, I know all about the games, but I've been listening to their stories about how they got there, how they were treated when they were there, what the whole place was like, particularly when they went to Budapest, which was behind the Iron Curtain at the time, because, it was a communist country.
It's like, it's just exciting speaking about it. I'm just like, I've got the 28th booked off, and I'm meant to be doing wedding planning. I'm not. I'm on booking.com, and I've already worked out every city I can fly to from Edinburgh and Glasgow straight to there, and where I would have to take a direct different flight. But that's just the buzz that's around it. Like, I've got to be honest and say, like, I'd come see Sunderland from Glasgow every week regardless, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who travel a lot further that would do it regardless. But coming back at the moment's great. Like, I don't think these shows would have been possible 3-4 years ago for any podcast, because it was difficult supporting Sunderland. And then you come back now and, like, all you want to do is fucking talk about Sunderland. Got an amazing venue here, an amazing team. I know that sounds cheesy, but it is. Like, the city is really, really on the up. So we all want to now fucking leave it and go somewhere in Europe. But I wanted to ask about, like, historical significance, because this is stuff that really interests me, and there's no better person to ask. Is there any teams that we could face in the draw that would hold, like, a historical significance to the past, and if so, who would that be?
Not really, and that answers its own question in that because we haven't really got a European history in terms of competitive games, whoever we draw in Europe is not going to be a team you're going to say, yeah, we've got a particular history with them. There's certain teams that people would like. I know a lot of fans would like to go to Milan to stop the mag singing, you've never seen a Macam in Milan. But having been to Milan to see both AC Milan when they were European champions, Franco Baresi, God rest his soul, just died a month or 2 ago. Franco Baresi was in that team I went to see when they were European champions. My wife, who sat over there very nicely, took me to Italy to see Inter for a surprise birthday party, a surprise birthday treat once, but it was because they were playing my favourite Italian team, Livorno, that particular week I went there, so I've seen both Inter and AC Milan there. The club owner, of course, Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, I'm sure would like us to play Marseille. Union Saint-Gilloise are in, so your friend Pete can maybe meet Siddiqui there.
Again.
That's his old club, isn't it? I'm sure Noah would like to draw them. Personally, if you said to me, who would you like if you could pick a team, I would like Juventus.
Yes, I'm the same actually.
It's always nice to beat a team in black and white.
Black and white. Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I think I've been to see Inter, funnily enough, I was 1995, I was a kid. But those kind of bits where, has anyone been to the San Siro before? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like the kind of like the bits where you walk up and the little coffee shops and like they have in the corner, like Italian football's great. And I think anyone who's like I was born 86, so anyone who's around the era of the 90s watching football, you've always wanted to go to Italy to see your team in Italy. Was like, for me, just one Italian away game would just be incredible, really, to be completely honest with you. But I've listened to some of the stuff you talked about before in terms of like the history of Sunderland Football Club, and I think it's really important for the younger generation, as much as this is an amazing era, to remember our sort of history. With the global profile of the club rising through sort of recent successes and, of course, a documentary, how do we keep that traditional identity of Sunderland alive for like global fans? Because we are expanding.
It's essential that we do. Look, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. You know, we're going to have a period of several years of sustained relative success for it to really be appreciated on the global stage. But some of you might have been next door to the Empire in recent years to see the play The Sunderland Story. Yeah? Well, that was written by a guy called Nicky Alt, and I was Nicky's historical consultant on the play. I mean, he wrote it. I didn't write any of it, but I helped him with it. And Nicky's a dyed-in-the-wool Liverpool supporter, Liverpudlian, and his first play had been about the history of Liverpool, and his second play had been about the history of Celtic. And then his third one was about Sunderland. And after the last night of the first Sunderland version, we went for a drink in the Peacock afterwards. And I said, come on then, Nicky. I said, you've done your Liverpool one, you've done your Celtic one, you've done your Sunderland one. Which one's been the best? And he said, without hesitation, he says, Sunderland. And he said, the reason is the club means so much more to the people than even it does to Liverpool supporters or Celtic supporters. And I thought, coming from a Liverpool supporter, that was an amazing thing to say. But what he also says is, when he goes to Liverpool, because he started going to Sunderland away games and going in with the fans, and he says, I love it, because everybody who's there is Sunderland through and through. He says, if I get a ticket to go to Anfield these days, I'm lucky to find somebody else from Liverpool. Yeah. They're all on their one trip in a lifetime to come to Anfield. Obviously, it's an exaggeration, but you get the point. You know, he's driving at.
I think it's fantastic, and what I probably didn't talk about afterwards was that the people at the College Edwards night, he went back to Sunderland, and it was the first time in a while for the Chelsea game, and I was like, you realise the significance of this? And he was like, I won't be better than Burnley, man. And I was like, fucking well. And he came out afterwards with his wife and his two kids, and like his kids had been ripping the piss out of him the whole week, being like, oh, they actually like you here? And he was like, yeah. But all of the family came out and they were like, they said like, thanks so much for sorting the tickets out. And I was like, I didn't do anything, mate. Like, you get them as a former player. But they were like, I can't believe the club, how it's transformed the city, the people. Are like, it's always meant that much to the people, and we always knew that. They're like, we feel like you're finally getting repaid. Like you're finally having what like you deserved, so to speak. And it really feels like that. And I think, look, I've met more people this year from America than I ever have before who supported us for apparently 10, 15 years. Like before the documentaries, all that kind of stuff. Few of them sort of coming over for games next season. A few of them have already been for games last season. And I say to them, like, with all due respect, like, why? Like, I know why I love Sunderland. I was born in Southwick. I kind of didn't have the choice. And they're just like, there's just nothing like it. And when you come over, the warmth of it, and they've had the American tour, and they've said, it's based on that question I was just asking you there. I said, how was the feeling at the American tour? And they said, it felt like I was in Sunderland, but it was just in America. Like the warmth was still there, the feeling was still there, and everyone supports Sunderland for a very similar reason. So it's good to see that, like, our tradition, who we actually are, translates across the pond.
One of the things that we've got that helps to make us unique, because every team has its passionate supporters. You know, if you support Stockport County or Colchester United, whoever it is, you can be just as passionate about your team as we are about Sunderland. It's just there's more of us in Sunderland than there is in Stockport County or Colchester United, with due respect to them. But when you talk about the passion, I mean, one of my favourite quotes in football comes from the ex-Newcastle United player, but also Sunderland manager Bob Stokoe, a cup winner at both teams. Newcastle as a player, Sunderland as a manager. And the quote was, until you've seen football on the north-east coast, you've never seen it. and I think there's some truth in that. When Gus Poyet was manager, whenever a person comes as coach or manager, I always wait and I give them a maximum 2 months until they come out with a quote along the lines of, I knew Sunderland was a big club, but I didn't know how big until I got here. And in Gus's case, I remember Gus saying to me one day, because obviously he'd played and managed, around the world and what have you, and he said, everywhere I've ever been before, I've always found some little quiet corner of the city where I can go for a meal or something and nobody wants to talk football. He said, not in Sunderland. Couldn't find it, Even if you're one of those people who isn't actually in Sunderland, who isn't actually interested in football, and they do exist, their lives still to some extent revolve around football because their son, their daughter, their wife, their husband, their next door neighbour, whoever it is, their life and their mood does revolve around football. And that's such an important thing in Sunderland. It's who we are, isn't it?
100%. My job is I cover Celtic, Rangers, Scotland games, and I get called Mr. Sunderland because apparently I revert everything back to Sunderland. A whole lot. So when Dan Neil signed, you can imagine how they fucking felt. Fucking leave him alone. But so last but not least, you've wrote a book called The Gaff, as you touched on. Gus Poyet, a great man. I love Gus, a really great man. You've got a book that's available to buy here at the moment?
Yes, outside. It's 12 quid in the shops. It's 10 quid tonight. It's been out 2 weeks.
There you go.
A plug, yeah. It's called Gaffers. It's a little at-a-glance guide to every manager Sunderland's ever had, including caretaker managers, including even those people who were technically in charge for 3 or 4 days and didn't take a game. If they were in charge of our football club, they profiled in Gaffers.
But I believe that you scribbled out the Phil Parkinson just for tonight.
Phil Parkinson was nowhere near Sunderland's worst manager. That was David Moyes. Don't get me started.
Yes. I bloody love a hot take, and that's a hot take, and it's correct. Before we move on to James and Phil and talk about transfers and all that kind of stuff, I just want to ask you about Regis Lebris. I'm so sorry. If Peter Reid was in the room, I would deny this. But Regis Lebris is the greatest manager in my lifetime. I'm 39. Where do you place Regis's achievements in comparison to managers of the past? Because we've had many great managers.
I'm a huge admirer of Regis Lebris. Absolutely huge admirer. But he has to win a major trophy to be ranked alongside the greats, to be ranked alongside the likes of Tom Watson or Bob Kyle or Johnny Cochran or indeed Bob Stoke or Alex Mackey. Some of those names people in here won't have heard of, but they've all won major trophies for Sunderland. And in the case of Tom Watson, the most successful manager in the history of North East football, he was the manager of the team of all the talents in the 1890s, who took Sunderland to 3 league titles. Then became manager of Liverpool and took them to their first 2 league titles, the first man to manage 2 different teams to the league title. We're talking giants of the game there. So Regis needs to get that Europa League trophy won. Like Peter, yes, I've got my hotel room booked, and yes, it is cancelable. I'm not stupid. But also, if you look at the Europa League, there's only 3 or 4 teams in the Europa League got a bigger budget than Sunderland.
Yep.
There's no reason we can't go deep into that competition, and you need a bit of luck to win any competition. There's no reason we can't win it. There's no reason that this week, next year, we can't be playing in the Super Cup and indeed qualifying for the Champions League. I'm a huge admirer of Regis Lebris. I think he's absolutely tremendous, really, really thorough, very, very studious, highly respected. He's done a fantastic job for Sunderland. And I hope that he's going to be here for a long time. Obviously, the more successful he is, the more likelihood that somebody else will want to poach him. That's up to us to keep him, just as we kept Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob, thanks very much.
Cheers, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
If anyone would like to buy a book off Rob, they're at the back. I don't think I need to promote this or sell it. You know how good it's going to be. Who wants to talk about transfers? Yeah, me too. James and Phil, are you with us? I feel like fucking Derek Okora, by the way. Phil, James? Oh my God, have they not turned up? Are they coming? I want to see if I like Derek Okora there because I couldn't really see anything past the front row. Have they gone to the Dun Cow or something like that? Like, I can't see now, me. If you're there, give 2 knocks. They're behind you, fucking hell. Yeah, wherever you want, mate. Another funny thing about that, they came from behind me, which is a bit like Newcastle, innit? Behind you, yes, they fucking are. Phil, James, how you doing? You all right?
I'm good. Yeah.
Hello.
Who's signing? Now, immediately. Where are we at with Dan Matali?
Do you want to go, Phil, or shall I?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so he's agreed personal terms. The fee's agreed. He's due on Wearside tomorrow for a medical, so I think it's as close to done as it can be, but you don't want to say it's absolute certain because you never know what can happen. He did actually miss his last 2 games for Toulouse with a shoulder injury, but I think that's a bit of skullduggery. So I think we should be all right, Phil.
So it's not a here we go yet, but it's getting there.
I think it is probably a here we go now, isn't it?
I don't really know what constitutes a here we go these days, but we'll go with it.
It's a here we gan. That's what.
I'm still a little bit scarred from Loriente last year, but I think we're about as close as you can get to a here we go. We'll call it.
I think it depends how much you spend to get the here we go, doesn't it? But, look, Phil, I'll come to you first. Very different summer to last year in the sense that, like, it felt like they were coming out like pups last year. I don't think it needed to be as busy as it was last year, but in your opinion, why has it been quieter this year, and what's Sunderland's thoughts behind that?
Yeah, I think that the big difference this year, which was kind of mentioned early on, was that I think the key thing for Sunderland this summer was keeping players.
Yep.
And to be honest, the transfer window has been a bit of a surprise for me, not so much in terms of how slow the incomings have been. I thought we were going to be writing all summer about clubs coming in for Siddiqui and for Roofs, and the only time I felt genuinely a little bit nervous, a little bit almost panicked during the summer was that week when we thought Xhaka might be off. Because no player is irreplaceable, but I just think Xhaka, I think as we've all seen, is just operating on an unbelievable level still as a footballer, and I felt that in the dressing room, the message it would send him leaving, that was the only thing that worried me. Because the last 4 or 5 games of last season, I genuinely thought we weren't getting lucky. I thought we were playing as a top half Premier League team. Yeah. So once you kind of got to the point where I was probably when the players came back for pre-season for realising that, you know, Roos, Siddiqui, Xhaka, these guys weren't moving, it made me kind of a lot more relaxed about incomings. And I think that hopefully what the Matali deal shows is that the money is there is a willingness to spend it. I think there's just a bit of, I think they have a really, really clear idea of the players that they want. I think they've got a good sense that the players want to join. But, you know, in some ways, rightly so, there's a Premier League tax. You know, once you come as a Premier League club, the fees go up overnight. So I'm feeling okay at the moment just because I don't know how everybody else feels, but I've got quite a bit of confidence in the team that will go out to play Ipswich next weekend because of what I saw from the last 4 or 5 games of last season. I think sometimes, you know, and me and James are guilty of it and we're kind of part of the problem, but we're conditioned to think that transfers is like winning football, isn't it? And, you know, sometimes it's not the case. This time last year, Liverpool had won the window, hadn't they? You know, and you look at what actually happened to their season. So don't get me wrong, I was, you know, starting to twitch probably a little bit last week, but I've genuinely got a lot of belief in where the team's at.
Transfers do obviously help with page views as well, which
they do, yeah. But you know, but it's true though, isn't it? It's become like this big thing, and I think I understand it as well because last summer it was so important. We needed those players, and that was the reason we had the season it was. But I think this summer was a little bit different.
I think this summer's probably redesigned what I thought of Sunderland as a football club because they flexed muscles I didn't think they had with the Granit Xhaka deal. Usually, you know, historically, Darren Bent, Asamoah Gyan, when clubs come in with money for your player, they usually end up going, and then that's across football. But Sunderland stood absolutely firm, and they were sort of rigorous in their approach to that, and they were adamant that he wasn't going anywhere. And the same with Matali as well. You know, they knocked back a bid, and they restructured the deal. They put a couple of stories out about being interested in different left-backs, and then they revisited the deal and got it over the line, whereas a lot of fans were wanting them to throw more money at it. Florent Gasolfi just said, nah, we'll get it done on our terms when we want. And that's very different to what we know as Sunderland fans. We're almost as journalists as well having to sort of recalibrate our idea of what Sunderland is as a football club. Because Phil will know it's not always been like this at all. Like we were worried about losing players in League One. We were worried about losing Luke O'Nien in the Championship when he wouldn't sign a contract. All of this sort of stuff. And the football club is changed almost beyond recognition.
We basically Brian Brobby Chelsea, didn't we? Move. It has been quiet, and you're right in the sense that social media becomes such a big part James, I need to call you Copley, I'm sorry, mate. It becomes
I've been called worse today.
Yeah, same. I think social media plays into it, and people have like opinions on, should we pay more, should we pay that, X, Y, and Z, should we be going for this player? And you have these people who scout and get all these different players, we should go for this guy. Social media has changed like life, let alone football. In terms of like additions, how many do you think we actually, you personally as a fan, how many do you think we actually need to have an assault on the Premier League and also the Europa League?
I think it's really tough. I think we'll probably need another 2 or 3 more. I think we've got a lot of versatility in the squad. You know, I think that back line now with Mathali coming in is looking quite solid, because you've got Trey Hume who can also play on the left. You've got Mounier in as well, who can play right midfield, right back. You know, with Alderete, Mukwele, Dan Ballard, Luke O'Nien, all of a sudden, and Ronaldo Mandava as well, who was sensational on Saturday. All of a sudden, that back line looks pretty settled, pretty solid, and I think there's, you know, Sunderland have definitely planned well there. I think the glaring spot would be on the right wing, wouldn't it?
Patrick Roberts coming back then?
I think he's due for a Tony Mowbray reuniting there. But yeah, I think the right wing spot, and I think we almost need the sort of reverse Mayenda, don't we? Mayenda could play up front, but he could also play on the right. We now need somebody that can play on the right who can also play up front if something was to happen to Isidore or Brian Robbie. So I think this summer we're just coming from a completely different place. Like we had to do a lot of business last year to stay in the Premier League. We've got a really, really good core. Labrice is obsessed with the words continuity. We've kept all of our players pretty much bar Mayenda and her Troyer. Traore is obviously gone, so we need 1 or 2. I am a little bit concerned about the Europa League because it's 8 extra games, and I remember being in the Championship where you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, and it can get really tough, especially when the injuries sort of catch up on you. But I just think that core group is so good and so experienced that we'll probably be all right. I think that the league form will inevitably suffer at some point. I think that's just a harsh reality of being in the Europa League. But I'm not concerned about us sort of, you know, imploding or anything like that. I think we'll be absolutely just fine. And I think Phil's right to point out, keeping our best players is almost as good as signing another 5 or 6 world-class players, because the group that we have are superb. And if you consider how young they are, if you consider that they'll all have played together for a year, it was a magnificent feat of coaching for Sunderland to bring in 14, 13 new players and to get them all to gel, pretty much. It was an unbelievable thing that Régis Labrice did last summer. So I'm really excited now to see how they've gelled further 12 months on. I think it's a really exciting time to be a Sunderland fan.
When we talk about transfers, we want to talk about incomings, Phil. I want to change that a little bit, the outgoings. I touched on Dan Neil before, who for me lived the dream. Anthony Patterson's recently gone. We've seen Mayenda yesterday. Did that break anyone else's heart, seeing Mayenda in a different shirt? Just didn't need to do that, mate. Just sit on the bench, it's fine. But we've seen players that are going out and are moving on, and I touched on Patrick Roberts before, someone I'll always have a place in my heart for. Dan Neil, same, Patterson. You've seen these players go out, and sometimes you kind of understand why it's happening. Like, I think we all understand why those players left and moved on, but like, when they do move on, it tugs on your heartstrings a bit. Like, how much credit do they deserve for, like, the fact that we're even talking about Europe, having nights like this, players like that? How much, like, honour have they built up and respect because of what they've done? Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I think that especially when you look at Dan Neil in particular, if we go back a little bit to that kind of COVID era, we were used to academy players leaving, and to be honest, like, we would never have judged any player for that, for where Sunderland was and the money that was on the table for the clubs. And lads like Neil and Patterson were the ones who, to be fair, were smart enough to say, well, actually, because of where the club's at, we might get a chance in the team here, but also to say, actually, it doesn't sit right with me to leave. I want to put the club back where it belongs. And I think what was so nice about that team that won promotion to the Premier League was that you had local lads like Dan and Anthony who understood the story, who knew exactly what it meant to all the fans. But you also had those lads who'd come from other places, like Isidore, Mayenda, who just totally bought into what Sunderland was. And it was such a, like, beautiful moment yesterday, because football is such a ruthless business and it moves on so quickly. It is so rare to actually get the moment to appreciate what players have done for you. And I just thought everyone who was there yesterday, like, who gave Mayenda the send-off he deserved, I thought it was just an absolutely fantastic moment. And, like, as well, like, that stuff matters. Like, I can absolutely promise you, we were talking before about transfers,
young players see that kind of thing. Young players see that this is a football club that promotes young players, that backs young players through difficult spells, and I think that's something that's worth remembering. But especially for Dan and Anthony, what an incredible legacy they've left at the football club. I can't speak highly enough of either of them, because I don't think it's easy to be a local lad playing for your team, because I think you carry it on your shoulders and you can't get away from it. You can't just disappear for a few hours. And, you know, we were talking before about, you know, Rob was talking about Gus Poyet and how everyone in Sunderland talks about the football. You know, those lads could never get away from it. So it was a heavy burden at times, and I'm so pleased they got the payoff. I wish Dan Neil hadn't gone to Rangers, but other than that.
Did anyone see the video of Dan Neil when he got announced at Rangers, and like he was holding up the new shirt and stuff like that, and he noticed that the collar was red and white, and he was like, oh, still a bit red and white on it. I was just like, fuck. I want to talk to you a little bit about Mundle, James Copley. Yep. We talked about social media before. It can be an interesting thing, and I've seen some sort of interesting opinions on it. I'm a really big fan of Romain Mundle. There was a really good sort of bit in the post-match yesterday from Regis about Mundle. Why have Sunderland done it? What's your thoughts on it, and what are the benefits to Romain Mundle signing a contract?
I thought he'd leave this summer. I thought there was too much competition in his position. But to be honest, I can completely get behind Sunderland wanting him to stay and offering him a new contract. He is hugely talented. At Tottenham, when him and Jack Clarke were together, they rated him higher than Jack Clarke. We know how much of a good player Jack Clarke is. I think with Mundle, he's been really, really unlucky with injuries. And I think that miss against Fulham, I think it sticks in the mind of a lot of people. Now, this is a, I think, 22-year-old lad at the time. So he's started that game. He's had the chance to put Sunderland ahead. He's missed. He's got injured, and then he's been racially abused in the same game. And not only is he injured, he's injured not long after coming back from another long-term injury. So I think in our comments we do need to be a little bit withdrawn, because he's been through a tough time. I think the best thing about Sunderland fans is that we back our players and we get behind them. And I think he deserves backing. I think Regis Lebris absolutely loves him. He's clearly been through a tough time, but he has got talent. I mean, Phil will tell you. Phil asked him the question, Lebris, about Mundle, and Lebris was really vociferous in his praise. He was really, really strong that this is a player who offers something different. I think he said that he's got an X factor. I would have liked to have seen him done more in pre-season, but I thought when he came on Saturday, I thought he was absolutely superb, and he hit the bar. So I think it's good to have that level of competition in the Europa League. You know, if he's one of our players, we need to back him, we need to get behind him. He's got talent. Has he proven it at Premier League level? To be honest, no, not yet. I think there's mitigation for that. There's context around that. I did expect him to leave, but I think it's a pleasant surprise that he's going to stay. And I think he could be a useful weapon for Sunderland. I think, you know, let's make no bones about it. He faces a struggle to get into the team, because you've got Anguilo, who Sunderland paid a lot of money for, Talby, who's really, really good, and Sunderland paid a lot of money for as well. But he's got talent, and I think it's good that he's sticking around. It's good to have these players. We've got a lot of games. And I think it'll suit Romain as well, because he's come back from 2 long-term hamstring injuries, and he doesn't necessarily have to be the main guy. He doesn't have to be relied upon. He can be in the background. He can drift in and out. He can come back in for a game here and a game there. And I think that'll suit him. It'll get his confidence up. But that would be my message. Just back the lad, because he deserves it. He's a lovely, lovely kid. He's really, really nice. And to be honest, he doesn't really deserve the things that have happened to him or have been said to him. And that's one of the best things about Sunderland, is that we rally round our own, and as long as he plays in red and white, he's one of our own, and we should get behind him.
Absolutely agree, 100%. I think you summed it up perfectly. Phil, last time we were on this stage, we were talking about getting into Europe, and you talked about how have you covered Sunderland for, what, 10 years now? You've seen some fucking shit. We all have. And I don't need to educate anyone in this room on, you know, what we've seen and what we've done. Can I just ask you, as a really jealous journalist that supports Sunderland but works in Glasgow, how fucking excited are you for just pissing about Europe for the next sort of 6 months?
I feel really emotional about it, actually. You know, like when we did the last one here, was that the night before the Chelsea game?
Night before.
Yeah. So I kind of had it in my head. I genuinely believed that we would beat Chelsea, and I think we'll get into the Conference League. But I hadn't even really thought about the Europa League, and it was like, you know, that meme where someone tells Lebris about 5 minutes from the end of the Chelsea game that we're in the Europa League, and he's like, that's what we were like in the press box as well, wasn't it? And the days after, I didn't even realise that you went straight into the Europa League group stage as well. You didn't even have to fucking qualify. So I was like, I cannot
probably should have looked that up.
Yeah, I should have looked at it, but the Conference League, I knew everything about it, and just amazing. I feel really emotional about it. I think like the football gods served it up to Sunderland fans for a good few years, and we saw things that nobody should ever see. And I think it's not just about the football either. I just think it's an amazing moment for the city, really. And I think the last year or so has been an amazing example of how the football club can bring everyone together, really. And I think the football club helps the city be really proud of itself and showcase the absolute best of itself. And I was out in Lons the other week, and it was just an unbelievable vibe. And I think everyone showed such an amazing side of Sunderland, and I just can't wait for this year. It's not just the away games either. You know, I think the 4 nights at the Stadium of Light are going to be absolutely amazing, and I'm so proud of how the narrative around Sunderland shifted over the last 18 months, and I'm just really excited to show for everyone to showcase what Sunderland's all about. I don't think it'll sink in properly until the draw happens, and then I'm going to be Googling places I've never even heard of, and you know, I'm here for it, but it's going to be amazing. I think the one thing I would like say is we've got to enjoy this season.
Yes.
Like, I know it's like so easy, and rightly so, we should hold the club to account, and we should talk about transfers and kicking on, but we have got to enjoy this moment. We have gone to Cheltenham on a Tuesday night and been played off the fucking park by Cheltenham. We have got to enjoy this because we do not know when it's going to come round again. So yes, you know, we've got to stay balanced and keep the club to account, but let's enjoy this year. This is what we have all dreamed of. This is literally what it is all about.
Does anybody remember when we lost to Leicester's under-23s?
Yeah, I do. Chris Maguire scored.
What a team, by the way.
You and Dewsbury Hall scored, I think. I mean, I'm sad that I know that, but no, like what you're saying is buy your membership. I understand that, Phil. He's not. But I was extremely lucky to go to the Europa League draw in 2023, Champions League draw, and like you've seen, like I think it was Brighton waiting out for the first time, and all the club officials and that were there, and they were all like pure buzzing because they were just in it, and I was just like, fuck, imagine being in like the Europa League, that'd be fucking mental. And I seen like a jazz version of the Champions League theme tune. It was all shit really, but it was paid for, so it was fine. But you were like looking, and I was sat next to, weirdly enough, Ahmed Al-Mohammadi, which was bizarre. He's a Villa representative or whatever, and they were all sitting there being like, you could see them being excited about who they were getting, and the fucking mags were in it, and I laughed really loud when they got Dortmund and Milan and all that. And I was like, fuck, but like within me, I was like, fuck, I wish this would happen for Sunderland at one point. And like the fact that I booked a day off work to do wedding planning, to basically go on booking.com and just book wherever the fuck I'm going. The first thing I did, did everyone just go out and get rat-arsed after Chelsea? Yeah, pretty much, right? Know what I did? Messaged my manager and booked off the entire week for all the times I had left off in the Europa League. Like every single week, and he's like, I can't give you the second week. I was like, well, that's a shame, because I'm fucking digging it. But it's just like, it is just such an amazing like time to be a Sunderland fan, and like I feel like I'm just saying the obvious, but like just really jealous that you get to go and get paid to go watch Sunderland in Europe. Shit. But yeah, look, I think we've got a game next week. I think it's easy to forget about that when you're talking about Europe and stuff like that. But Copley, when it comes to the team, we've got a couple of injuries next week. It looks like Nordy and Omar might be struggling for it. How are we looking for next week in terms of like numbers, in terms of players being there from what you know?
Well, to be honest, judging on Luke O'Nine's form, we'll be absolutely fucking fine, I think.
Yeah, no issues.
He seems to be doing really, really well. I thought he was really good towards the back end of the season. I'm quite comfortable with him at centre-back. Obviously, we're hopefully going to have the new lad in. It might take a couple of weeks to get up to speed, but I just think from the 2 pre-season games that I've seen, I'm really comfortable. I know Dan Ballard gave away the penalty on Saturday, but I think he'll be fine. I think he's a class act. Trey Hume at right back, I think he's developing in terms of his attacking output. You know, he had a hand in the Wrexham goal. He scored against Lens, he scored the other day, he scored against Chelsea. I think we spoke to him after the game as well the other day. He's getting more confident. You know, we forget that he's only 23, 24 as well. He's got a lot of development to do, and he took a lot of stick really for playing in the right wing position at times last season, but I think, again, same with Maenda, just back him. This is a bloke that wants to give everything for the shirt, who is passionate about Sunderland, who enjoys being here. He's been a massive part of our revival. So I think we're looking good, to be honest, Graham.
Yeah, and I think it's there's no easy, fucking hell, that wine's strong. There's no easy fixtures in the Premier League.
Ipswich will be hard.
Yeah, speaking's hard for me apparently at the moment. But,
I tried to rescue you.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. But those games we got at the start, Phil, we could make a good start. People are talking about, like, can we do well in the Europa League and X, Y, and Z, and of course we'll win that, so it's fine. But, like, we've got a chance there to get ahead of steam, haven't we, in the league as well?
Yeah, I think it's quite a tricky start, to be honest, in terms of that first block of 5 games. I don't think the opening day is when you want to play a newly promoted side, especially away from home. And Fulham, I do think Fulham could be in trouble this year, obviously, but they beat us twice last year, and then that
only team to beat us twice.
Yeah,
I thought Fulham would be in trouble last year in the World.
Yeah, Marco Silva, what a manager. But then when you've got, like, is it Arsenal, Brentford away, City? So it is a tricky start, but I'm not overly concerned. I think if you look at the end of last season, I mentioned it before, but I thought we were the better team in pretty much each of the last 6 or 7 games that we played last season, and we've got Enzo, so it's going to be fine.
My last question is, who's our most important player? Fucking hell. Let's pretend Phil didn't say that. I'll go to Copley. A lot of chat about Xhaka. I've talked about Enzo. It's quite clear who my favourite player is. But, like, how important, we've seen how good Enzo has been in that 10. We know he can do a job on the left because he works his bollocks off. That's why I love Enzo. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but, like, Enzo's talent and skill is brilliant.
He's like Malbronk if he didn't smoke.
Yeah.
It's like all my Sunderland supporting dreams have come true. Like, I used to watch Steve Malbronk and I used to be like, you are my favourite ever player. I just so wish you could run.
Yeah.
And now we've got the guy. What a time to be alive.
The same guy. Do you know a really sad fact? I took Enzo's haircut into the barber and went, that please, and they went, no fucking chance. And I was like, why? They're like, I'm going to be more than 35 quid if you want to look like that. And he tried his best. But is Enzo, like, there's a lot of chat about Xhaka being the most important player, and I'm tempted to go with it, but I'm starting to think Enzo's our most important player, probably.
Yeah, I think in an attacking sense, he's going to make us really tick. I think his intelligence is on a different level to pretty much anybody else in the squad, apart from Xhaka, I would say. I think what was really interesting on Saturday is that Enzo would drop back, he would allow Noah Siddiqui to go further than him, and then he just started pinging these lovely balls out into the left and right, and I think that's
so
really
confident as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that's really, really interesting. I think if he can drop further back in the pitch, I think that could be hugely beneficial to Sunderland, because then he can play in the 6, the 8 and the 10. What was really interesting, I spoke to Enzo, I think it was after we lost 5-0 against Forest, but he was in decent form at the time. And I said, what's changed, what's clicked for you this season? And he actually described last season as his first season as a professional. And what he meant by that is that he'd come to Sunderland and he'd realised that actually he can have all the flair in the world, but it doesn't make any difference, particularly with this crowd, if you don't track back, if you don't stick your foot in, if you're not good off the ball. And that Sunderland fans value a tackle just as much as we like a defence split and pass. Obviously, we like a defence split and pass as well, and we like a bit of quality. But he realised very quickly that if he wanted to be a player here, then he needed to embrace that culture and essentially work harder. And I think that's the most impressive thing. And it's a special thing as well to see a player that talented recognise that and want to embed himself within Sunderland's culture. And he's done it marvellously. I honestly, I don't want to sell him anytime soon, but he could be worth 80, 90 million quid one day. If you think of the goal contributions, goals and assists that he left on the table last season, he missed a penalty against Brentford, he put Tabib Diarra through against Aston Villa, he didn't actually get an assist against the Mags for Brian Brobby's goal because it was saved initially, and then, just like to mention that result, but...
Fucking idiot.
Yeah, Aaron Ramsdale as well. But, if you think of everything that he did last season, he absolutely made Lewis Hall look a mug twice. Nutmegged him twice. He absolutely took the piss out of him. And this is,
Still with you, mate, Lewis Hall.
This is like England's brightest left-back prospect, apparently, and he made him look a mug. I think he's got all the tools in his locker to be a 80, 90 million pound player. I mean, that goal, me and Phil were talking, that goal he scored against Liverpool in pre-season, was amazing because it was incredible, and you don't usually get excited for pre-season goals, but both of us leapt out of our chairs and went, oh fuck, he's done that against Liverpool. That's
effortless actually, as well. That's
actually not a good thing, because then that puts him on the radar of other clubs. I think Granit Xhaka is probably one of the best players I've ever seen play for Sunderland, but I think Enzo Lefebvre is probably the best player I've ever seen play for Sunderland. Him and Jan Kirchhoff.
I think when you look at Oh, love Jan Kirchhoff.
Yeah. What a player.
Fucking player, man.
Yeah.
You're cultured if you like Jan Gertchoff in my eyes.
He took me for coffee in Magdeburg. Fucking loveliest guy ever. Fucking hated David Moyes. Fucking hated him. I released the audio at one point. But like, I think when you talk about Enzo, Xhaka, Nordi, these players, like I touched on it before, everyone has their own Sunderland 11, don't they? And you kind of change it now and again. Like I think Ahmad got in at one point, but like I pretty much had Chris making it right back. Alan Johnson was my left winger. Quinny and Phillips will never be fucking moved. But there's more and more of these players from this team where you're like, well, I need to put them in. And this is not a good period. This is the best player I've ever seen. And Enzo's right up there. But look, I want to chuck more love on Enzo. I hope there's no scouts in here. If you are, fucking leave. But what I like most about Enzo on a serious note, Phil, is that so technically good at football. He's just really good at football naturally. But there's a highlight when he puts a tackle in. I think it's against Chelsea, and he like spins round trying to win the ball.
João Pedro, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, that's right, João Pedro, and his celebration in the playoff final when he wins the free kick towards the end, and he punches the air. The way that he kind of pushes Trey Hume when he absolutely fucks Lewis Hall. Deck the halls. It was Christmas time. Enzo, for me, is the prototype, Phil, of what Sunderland fans like, because I think sometimes people go, oh, well, in the North East, they love a tackle. Yeah, I grew up on John Kay, naturally. But at the same time, we also like quality, but it has to be combined with effort.
Yeah, I think that's what he's done really well over the last few months, is that you don't lose anything by playing him in a central position, which I think would have been the worry. But I think what I would say, it's not just about Enzo. I think there's a really strong culture in the dressing room where I think they all understand that. And I think the big thing for me is I think they demand that of each other. So we talked before at the start, Lee was talking about Granite and Nordy's leadership. Like, I think those guys set the standard, and I think it's almost an unwritten rule that in the dressing room you have to put that effort in, and you have to make those tackles. And I think that's, I think it shows you the leadership's really good in the group, but I think it also shows you that the management is really, really good, because over a period of time, I think Regis has built a culture whereby you don't get in his dressing room. It's a non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. So it's not a decision whether you want to do that or not. You either do it or you don't play. So I think that's one of the reasons why you've seen the team have the success it did last year.
I think that's typified by Siddiqui as well, because Siddiqui gives everybody the platform because of his running, because of his work rate. He allows the likes of Enzo, Lafay and Granit Xhaka to pass the ball so nicely, because he essentially does the dirty work.
That's what Peter said. He does the dirty work. He's got a photo of it, apparently. Phil, James, thanks very much. We're going to have Aiden McGeady up in about sort of 15 minutes, so you can grab a few beers and stuff like that.
Can I just say congratulations to Rob Mason, because he was inducted into the Sunderland Hall of Fame.
Was he?
He's a brilliant guy and he deserves his round of applause.
It's a little bit of history there, isn't it?
Exactly.
But no, amazing. Rob, I didn't know that. Well done. Fucking...
You should have mentioned that, Graham, to be honest.
If you put a good word in for me, that would be great. But James, Phil, thanks very much.
Thanks to Enzo.
Thank you.
And to Enzo, yeah. We'll do like 10-15 minutes and we'll get Aiden McGeady on, and see you soon. Thanks very much so far. I didn't score any of those goals. Let's get straight to it. Welcome to the stage, Aiden McGeady.
I didn't actually realise I scored that many penalties. Make me look a bad player now.
No comment. Aiden, first and foremost, thanks for joining us. You've been retired coming up for 2 years. How's life?
Life's good. I mean, like, as a footballer, you're dancing to someone else's tune every single day of life. And the 2 years in October, I've enjoyed being retired, spending more time with the kids, getting to do things, you know what it's like playing down in England. It's Saturday, well, especially where we played, which was League One and Championship, League One mostly. It's relentless, so it's been good being retired, but not having a routine is the kind of thing I struggle with. But just doing little bits and pieces of media and a bit of coaching and things like that. So no, I'm enjoying it. I wish I was still playing though, as every retired footballer will tell you.
How difficult is the transition?
It depends. I'm in a privileged position where I don't have to rush straight in and become a manager or a coach, so I can kind of take my time and figure out exactly what I want to do. I feel I've got too much experience, I think, not to pass on to the next generation. And I'd love to do that, whether that be at Celtic or whether that be even at Sunderland. I mean, I did ask at Sunderland, but Speakman blanked my calls, didn't he? So, as he always did when it was contract renewal day as well, did that too.
I know you've been back up to Sunderland since, I think, for the Watford game in the Championship, when we drew 2-2, but like, how does it feel being back, meeting fans? Because look, I know it was a difficult era, but I think during that time, I'd be safe in saying that you were a fan favourite during those, 6 seasons?
Yeah, 2017 I joined, 2023, 6 seasons, so, no, thank you. No, look, I love coming back to Sunderland because, like, I always feel that in England especially, when you get that divide, kind of as soon as you go past kind of Birmingham, you start getting towards the northwest, northeast, the people are warmer, the people are more generous, and I always found that with Sunderland. Look, I absolutely loved living here. I love playing for this club. We didn't deserve, I suppose we did deserve, based on our performances, to be where we were, but Sunderland's a club that shouldn't have been in the Championship, shouldn't have been in League One, and I was part of that, but I love my football here, and I think you probably got to see some of the best of me, so. And if that added to putting smiles on people's faces, then I'm glad I was able to do that. And then ultimately, I know I didn't play in the playoff final, but to be able to be part of the team that got the club on that trajectory of getting back to where it is now.
It's funny, I have to be honest, I made a faux pas. I told Aiden how long it takes to get from Glasgow to Sunderland the other day, and he went, I've done it a few fucking times.
Is that right? I think the train takes 3 hours 10 minutes. Like, no mate, I've done this run about 1,000 times.
I show my missus and be like, I fucked up, didn't I? Yeah. You played through Sunderland's most difficult era ever, like if we're being completely honest, but you've seen the club on its knees. We've all seen the club when it was on its knees. You're now back in where the club is the opposite place. How does the place compare coming back to it, seeing where it is now compared to like where it had been at points not that long ago?
Well, I mean, you look at Sunderland this season, they're going to be playing European football. You think about that as a possibility 4 or 5 seasons ago. No one would have thought that. Just probably wish that the current owner might have been in charge when I signed. It would have been slightly better, but because we went through a few funny owners when I was there. Charlie and the boys that we had. And look, that's no slight on, let's say, Stuart Donald. For all Stuart's a really nice guy and he's a good guy, but not deep down a football guy. And I think that's what this club needed. I'm delighted to see the club back where it belongs. Really, I mean, I used to say to the boys in the dressing room, like when we were going through bad periods, like. Don't get used to this. Don't be comfortable here because that stadium out there and that training ground, that is not built for a League One team. So if we're not progressing, yous won't be here. Maybe not in exactly those words, but but that was what I used to kind of reiterate to the boys. So just delighted to see the club get things together and go in the right direction. It took time, and obviously yous have got a lot of patience, but it took time to get back to where it belongs.
I don't know how long you had under Kirill's ownership. I want to say it was 6 months or 18 months?
Maybe just over a year. Yeah, maybe 18 months. 18 months, yeah.
Like, the transformation's been massive, and you can lay the credit to Kirill, you can lay it to whoever you want, really, Regis. You can kind of contribute that to a few different people. But how impressed have you been by his work? Because you can have all the best intentions and say, I'm going to take over this team in League One, have a 5-year plan, but it doesn't always work like that. Like, how impressive has, from the inside and then the outside, his work been?
No, look, when he first came in, we were unsure if he was a billionaire, because he was like... Yeah. Normally when a billionaire buys a football club, they like buy a castle somewhere, don't they? And they just start spending money. He was the exact opposite. I think he he seen what the club was spending on wages and was like, this is unsustainable if we're going to be in League One. And then the Championship was the same. I mean, there was times I'd see, like, the lads have been a night out, you know, Lavello and in Newcastle, and Kirill's got a bodyguard who kind of used to drive him about in this battered old Range Rover, and Kirill's driving his driver to Lavello. His bodyguard's steaming, jumping out the Range Rover, and Kirill's actually driving the car, and then coming in where I was and sitting was, and I'm like, this guy's a billionaire. Like, what are you doing in Lavello nightclub? why are you cutting about the Sunderland lads? But he was very, very down to earth. But he had obviously this master plan. I think if this could be seen as a guinea pig project to maybe one day if he takes over at Marseille. But he's shown that he's able to do it, and he's done things the right way, been ruthless at times, been very ruthless at times, but he's managed to get the club now to, you know, like I said, European football, and which hasn't happened for, you know, has it happened before? I don't know.
Not since 73.
73, so a long time to wait for European football, and you're think of a packed out stadium like there. It's just the hairs in the back of my neck stand up when I think about that, as if I was playing. So he's been very, 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 very measured in his approach to the club, hiring the right people around the place, and hiring the right managers. Apart from Lee Johnson.
Monday's tomorrow. Sharks will not worry about it. Looking at the season ahead, you've got loads of European experience with Celtic, some great European nights at Celtic, great European nights at Moscow. What can Sunderland players in a club expect from Europe, and how do the players adjust to that amount of game time that's going to, and travelling that's going to increase?
No, it will definitely be harder. It'll take its toll on the players, but they'll get a bounce from it because, I mean, look at, I think, for example, Luke O'Nien. He's went from wherever he started at the National League to now playing in Europe, playing Europa League. It will give the players an added buzz. I think there will be stress on the bodies, but the excitement that if it was me and I was playing, the excitement, that's all you look forward to, are games. And you've got, like now every week you've got big Premier League games, and on top of that you've got big European games. And if you look at the last few winners of Europa League, the Europa Conference League, it's been English teams, and it does show you that, like, teams can get far. So there's no reason to say why Sunderland can't go on a good run this competition.
I feel like that's the headline. Aiden McGeady said Sunderland can win the Europa League.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
I like that.
Need a few more signings in, I think, first. But
yeah, one or two. How important will, because you were a young lad when you first started playing Europe with Celtic. Your experience heads are massive. I think we talked about Xhaka before with the other guys. Also Nori, Ronaldo. There's players in there that have played European football for Atletico, Arsenal, Leverkusen. How important will they be in terms of like adjusting to it and also performing in Europe?
Yeah, if they've been there, they know what it takes to win games there. They know what the atmosphere is going to be like. Because I mean, there's a lot of hostile places you go and play. You go and play in Europe. It's about probably the experience is, like you said. I think Xhaka's a natural leader, isn't he? Anyway, but I think understanding and getting that through to the group, what to expect from these games. Because European games aren't like Premier League games where you know exactly what you're up against. A lot of these teams in Europe, you know, you could be surprised because a lot of them could be absolutely total football. A lot of them could be, you know, kick and rush merchants, which you need to adapt your style to. So no two games are going to be the same. So the experience, obviously, the lads will lean on that, and I'm sure the manager will as well. But it's exciting times.
Well, let's go back to the time when you signed for Sunderland. I can't quite remember the year. What, 2018?
2017.
17, close enough. You were on loan at Preston with Simon Grayson. I had a friend who's a big Preston fan, and she called you lots of names.
What should she say? What's her name again?
I forget.
You said a big friend, so you know where I just, wouldn't you?
We're not friends anymore. I fell out with her husband. Almost said it there, shit. But I remember there was a lot of talk about you going to Preston, didn't happen. You came to Sunderland. Why Sunderland?
See, to be totally honest, I was very, very close to signing for Preston, but Preston didn't want to pay a fee for me. Everton, I had 1 year left my contract at Everton. They wanted to sell me, and then when Simon Grayson moved to Sunderland, he had enough money to pay for me, and he phoned me and he said, "Look, do you want to come to Sunderland?" And I was like, "Absolute no-brainer. Of course I do." Thinking it's a massive club, it's a massive opportunity. The club's just been relegated. Every player thinks this, that will be a springboard. The club will have the ambition of going straight back up. And yeah, I was straight away, I said yeah. There was no hesitation in it whatsoever. Then the day I signed, because obviously, you know, when a club gets relegated from the Premier League, there's a lot of players that don't want to play in the Championship who move on, and then so you need a lot of reinforcements. But the day I was signing, me and James Vaughan were doing a medical at the time, and I was like, nah, we ain't going back up, are we? I love Vonnie as well. Vonnie's one of my best mates, but me and him were sitting there, and I was like, Simon, you said we were going to have a right go here, going back up. And he was like, no, we are. And I'm Vonnie's sitting there, and I'm like, nah, no, we ain't. We actually went down, so.
I wanted to ask you about that because I think you always have that hope. I remember a lot of people said when we went down, well, at least we'll win more games. Did we fuck? When did you realise it was not going to be a promotion battle past the medical and it was maybe going to be a relegation battle? Because we actually started the season all right. We've seen you goal against Norwich there. I think we played well on the Friday night against Derby. We got a draw down at Sheffield, which at the time, Sheffield were one of those teams around the playoffs. And then we think that Leeds and Barnsley and got
Leeds and Barnsley, yeah. To be honest, I think those games where you talk about we beat Norwich, I think they were just papering over the cracks. For me, the first hammer blow to me, where I went, whoa, we're in trouble here, was the Celtic game.
Early doors.
Celtic, the 5-0 Celtic game. Because that was Celtic, in essence, that was Celtic's second team.
Yeah.
You know, there were young lads there, and we lost 5-0 fairly convincingly. And I was like, we've got a difficult season in our hands here. It was probably that game.
I think there was, because it was Scottish too, we played Livy, St Johnstone, Celtic, and someone else. And I remember James Vaughan missed a penalty at St Johnstone because I trolled up the Perth, and then he missed one against
And he missed one against Celtic as well, yeah. So
does it feel like, do you get that feeling, because as a fan you get it, you go, oh God, do you get that feeling like that early doors, even if it's pre-season?
No, not that it's going to define the whole season, no, but things weren't clicking into place for us, and I think there was things. I think that night was the night where Gibble was in the hotel steaming after that, and there was in the papers the next day. I was actually there as well, by the way. I was there, but I actually got off to bed early, so I was absolutely buzzing it wasn't me. But there was a wedding going on, but the little things like that started to... Oh my God, sorry.
Whose phone is that?
No, do you know who's on the phone to me? I actually fell asleep in that room in there. Sorry. And by the way, it wasn't because of you and I could have killed you there and gave a really good joke there. No, it wasn't because of you. It was in case I fell asleep, so Sonia was back on. I fell asleep for 15 minutes.
We're doing it right, guys.
Apologies, so how unprofessional was that? Sorry, apologies.
Kind of our bag, don't worry about it. That season, look, the Championship season, you can talk about League One as much as you want. The Championship season was, for a fan, for me, the worst. I don't know if anyone agrees with that. Like, it felt like the worst.
For me, it was the worst as well, and it was the worst atmosphere as well. Yeah. Like a toxic atmosphere, and understandably why. Like, we could all understand why, but for us on the pitch, it was like I felt as if we were going into every game thinking we're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt. But when you look at the players that we had on the pitch, like our squad, we should never have got relegated from that league. Never. Considering the players that we had, myself, Lee Cattermole, Didier and Dong. Well, maybe shouldn't have mentioned him, but Lamine Kone, Shazy, Brian Oviedo, Adam Matthews, like George Honeyman, like we had Grabs until he decided to depart, in the January. Like, we should never get relegated with that squad. Just not enough heart, not enough running. Change of manager didn't help either, but, well, change of manager definitely didn't help. But
it didn't. You talk about the players and stuff, and I think it's easy for us as fans to look at the players and the management and whatnot. And last time I did a show, I mentioned the name Simon Grayson, and someone shuddered in the front row. And I was like, but I think worst ownership was to come, in my opinion. But you had Ellis Short there who was absent, for the want of a better word. He'd been done. And also you dealt with Charlie Methven, you dealt with Stuart Donald as well. sometimes ownership, you feel like it doesn't have an effect because you don't see it as a player, but how much does bad ownership filter down to a squad?
But we've seen it every day with them as well, because they were in every single day telling us what was. Like Charlie Methven had massive meetings where every single member of staff had to go to the Stadium of Light, and he was telling us that Sunderland with this, and now it's going to be this is shit, that's shit, that's shit. And it's like, yeah, fine, but we don't really need to see that as players. We're here to play football. So bad ownership filters down because you give players historic contracts on big money, and then you expect to get the league as if it's nothing, when that's not how football works. So historic bad ownership had a hangover effect on our seasons at Sunderland.
And you talked about Methven there, and I think anyone who's seen Netflix will know I'm not a massive fan. If you haven't, you can watch it. Not a fan. But correct me if I'm wrong, did he not come down with a helicopter at one point?
Yeah.
During making people redundant?
Yeah. So I was the only one, I don't know if this will surprise you, but I was the only one that confronted him about it. Where like, we'd just been relegated and, you know, kitchen staff and people around the place were getting laid off, and effectively it's because of you. You know, effectively it's because of us, because we didn't perform. And then the next thing, we're up in the canteen, and the canteen staff's been cut because there's not as many left, and this helicopter pulls up onto the training ground. Like, I'd never seen a helicopter pull into a training ground unless it was like in a Premier League team, or like, and it was the chairman or the owner was coming. So he effectively said he was the owner. He comes in, balls out wearing a pair of shorts, comes straight in the canteen, and I was like, I hope the club's not paying for that. And he was like, well, it's Stuart's paying for it, so it's all the same. And I went, so the club are paying for that? I said, there's people here getting the sack. Do you think that's a good look? And he was like, well, I was in a rush, and just kind of went like that, and I was like, you're a dick, mate. I was like, you're a dick, mate. No.
I concur.
Yeah. But like, it was terrible seeing that, and like, but he walked in, and the weird thing was with that dynamic, so you had Stuart and you had Charlie, and then you had another boy that they brought in, Steve. He was kind of more to do with like admin and signings and stuff.
I remember what you mean, yeah.
With the English FA, but they all really disliked Charlie. Like, they hated Charlie. So like, they used to moan about him all the time, and I was like, can you not get rid of him? And they're like, because Charlie used to walk in the front door, walk up to the canteen, take an office, and they were like, he's got shares in the club though. And I was like, how many shares has he got? And they were like, he's got 5%. And I was like, I've got 0.002% in Apple, but I can't walk in an Apple office and take an office and sit there and sit in a chair like he was doing. They just had no way of getting rid of him. I don't know how.
Shit, that wouldn't flush.
Basically, yeah.
But then he did. But
he's back up now though, and he's doing these high-performance podcasts on what clubs are doing wrong, isn't he? You, of all people, mate, should not be talking about how clubs should be ran. You know what I mean? Oh my God.
Told you it'd be good. Looking at, I don't want to talk about the Netflix documentary because I know and you spoke about it, that you weren't a fan of it. I know Jack Ross wasn't a fan of it, and a lot of players and staff weren't a fan of it. But I do find it quite funny that as much as you didn't enjoy it, you're probably the most memeable thing of it.
The Gimp Snowball one?
Yeah. Are you aware of how popular that became? We still use it, don't we?
No?
Like, does everyone know what I'm talking about here? Yeah, good.
No, I wasn't. It was just everybody else was hiding, weren't they, in the walkway for the young lads from the Bows across, and I just thought, I'll just walk across. Yeah, young lads, Gimps, little girls, but I don't know if you can say that anymore, so I'm glad it was done back then. Gimps, I mean, I'd probably get a 10 grand fine for Gimps, yeah. How do you know about Gimps anyway? Do you dress up as one?
Berlin was a wild experience. Berlin was a good experience, shall we say.
Yeah.
But yeah, you talked about that championship season itself. You obviously came because of Grayson, and I know people have opinions on Grayson, but you had a relationship with him, that makes sense. Chris Coleman came in, and I remember watching the documentary, and I was like, he doesn't like Chris Coleman. And I know sometimes it can be a football thing, a tactical thing where you just don't connect. But like, how different was that for you, that Chris Coleman came in and was really different to Grayson?
No, in football you get managers. There's a manager turnover all the time in football, so you have to judge each new manager as you find them, and all the characters are different. But Chris was completely apart from the group. So the Welsh lads that we had, like Johnny Williams, Adam Matthews, like, oh, you'll love him, he's a great guy, he's one of the lads. As soon as he came in, like, kept his distance from us all at all times. like would swagger out to training 25 minutes late, you know, with a big jacket on and just kind of stand at the back like, the boss is here. Wouldn't take training. When he would take analysis, it'd be very, very little. And then the biggest thing for me is there weren't really any standards. So we'd lose a game 2-0 at home. He'd come in, he'd be like, he actually had this one saying one day. He was like, well, lads, I'm out. Anybody else get any answers? You know, what was we supposed to do? And I was like, how's it you start taking coaching and you start taking training? No? Is that not your job? And he was just like, yeah, I'm all out of ideas, so if anybody else get any, see you later, and just walked out, and we just lost 2-0. But then that was a recurring theme. It was just like, lost 2-0 at home, lose 3-2 away, just come in the Monday, and it was just like, oh, nothing had happened. And I was like, nah, we'll go nowhere here.
Talked about the change in ownership. Part of that was Chris Coleman got sacked and Jack Ross came in. Of all the managers you played under, and we'll get into another one in soon, don't worry, you seem to connect really well with Jack Ross, and I know he's not that well liked because he didn't achieve here, and that's the way football is, but you seem to connect with him quite well, Jack Ross.
No, I did. I think I got on really well with Jack. He was kind of, gave me license to kind of, you know, be myself on the pitch. Really good man manager, I felt as well, Jack. He actually recruited quite well that season too. The one thing with Jack, and look, I think Jack, everybody can have their opinion whether they thought Jack was a poor manager, a good manager. He got us to the playoff final, which we should have been up automatic. Maybe there's that argument for when Jack and Jack's team, when we went 1-0 up, we sat too far back and we invited pressure. That happened again in the playoff final, but it didn't help Jack the fact that the owner was so transparent with the fans on Twitter.
Oh God!
Where he was talking about, we're going to sign a striker before the deadline, which ended up being Will Grigg. This is going to be a 100-point season, you know. So he's saying that before the season starts. Jack's just trying to get his squad together, trying to win games, and he's got that in the back of his mind. And I think we lost to Lincoln away, didn't we? We lost to Lincoln away 2-0. Yeah. And on the Monday, I went in to see him. I says, look, just man to man, I was like, look, I think you're really, really close to being a good manager. The only thing I think you could do better is I think you leave too much onus on the players. So when we do shape a certain way of playing, it's kind of like, say, Tom Flanagan gets the ball, the first phase of play, and you want him to hit the diag. If that diag goes out of play, he then doesn't try it again. Whereas I think you have to be more firm on the team on the way you want them to play. I was like, I think you're quite close to being a good manager. And then in the afternoon he was sacked. And to be fair, every single player was actually gutted when he gets sacked. The only one that didn't go and see him was Will Grigg.
Really?
Yeah, but to be fair, out of Griggy's wasn't, I don't think, out of badness. Griggy's was, he felt ashamed that he hadn't produced for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Jack I got on really well with, yeah. And now Jack's at Newcastle. Jack's clever as well, so he's thought his next job at Dundee United, I think he went back to Hibs and Dundee United, his next job, football managerial careers only last so long, you need to keep winning games. He was like, look, if I lose my next job, that's me done as a manager. So he's kind of went down the other route of kind of sporting director. He's kind of doing that now. So, no, but I had a great relationship with Jack, and I felt sorry for him, but ultimately it was down to us. We had 7 games left, and we were joint second with Barnsley in points, and we finished 5th. It's inexcusable.
Yeah. I think I look back on it in a really weird way, the Chickatrade Trophy final. Like in the context of Sunderland season, we're here talking about Europe and Europa League, and we've talked about the history of Sunderland and FA Cups. And yet, one of like my favourite moments being a Sunderland fan was the Chickatrade Trophy, because it had been fucking shite for so long. And then you had a moment of like, we're going to go to Wembley, that doesn't really matter, and hopefully we'll do well. And you scored 2 goals in it. And I think the whole weekend was, I don't know if anyone else remembers it the same way. It felt a little bit cathartic because things were shit, and it was a little bit of positive, right? It felt like a little bit of positive. But like, I was talking to you before in the green room about it. When you equalised in the last minute, I celebrated that like World Cup final in a really weird way. I was right at the front, right behind it. But I felt like what we're seeing at Sunderland now, in terms of like where Sunderland can be and how big we can be and what we can actually achieve, that was kind of like a little small bit of evidence of like, if you get this right, you can have this on a bigger stage, because of the whole experience. How was the experience for you? Because with all due respect, it was your second season. You didn't know Sunderland could produce that at such a lower level competition. Like, how was the experience for you?
No, it was amazing. It was probably one of I know we didn't win the trophy, and if we'd have won the trophy, hereby, do you know what I mean? But the experience for me personally on that day was looking around and seeing that full stadium, 80,000, half and half, 40 Pompey, 40 Sunderland fans. An amazing experience, great game to play in, to manage to score 2 at Wembley. Just personally for me, one of the best days that I'll remember as being a footballer. And I think when I see that second goal go in, it's actually, I think it's the last minute, isn't it? It goes in and then it goes to extra time. That goal goes in, and
No, it's got last minute's extra time.
last minute of extra time to go straight to penalties. The way the TV and the cameras actually shaking as well, because everybody in the stadium is jumping up and down. Amazing, just amazing. But unfortunately we didn't win. But just one of those things I look back on in my career and go, I use it sometimes, when I was still playing. Any of us go to Wembley? No. I used to use that one to other players, when I was winding them up and stuff. So, or Hampden as well. It's got at Hampden as well. No, I used to. It was one of the best days of my career.
Such a weird experience. How many people were there at that game? We all went down and it was all I think it was on great, but it was weird. I remember when he equalised, I went absolutely mental. Like I say, it was a World Cup final, and then we went, oh, it's penalties. Who gives a fuck? We kind of went, oh well, fair enough.
Because then when you look back on the one we did win, and I know no fans were allowed in, that doesn't feel anything like the one we lost, does it?
Totally different experience, same competition, but because
doesn't feel anything like it, does it?
We weren't there and able to kind of experience it. I think it's look, Wembley's never a bad occasion. It never ever is. But in terms of the season itself, that first season, you said before we were 7 games away or something. I think we got beat at Fleetwood, Southend last game of the season.
Yep.
We kind of duffed it a little bit because we kept stuttering to 1-1 draws.
We did, yeah.
Because we didn't have a Josh Madger to finish the chances in the way that it was, and that kind of cost us automatic promotion. But we went back to Wembley in the playoff final. You suffered a broken foot. The game, I think it was Accrington, the rearranged game when we won 3-0. You got back on the pitch for the final, but I remember myself going, he's not fit. How fit were you for the final?
No, I wasn't fit at all. So I'd hardly trained in the 2 weeks beforehand because Jack Ross gave me the ultimatum. He was like, look, you can either go and get surgery just now, that's you done for the season, or you can take painkiller injections. So it's basically was getting anaesthetic into the bottom of my foot, through the sole of your foot. And I was getting that before every single game. And some games he wasn't using me, some games he would give me 10 minutes, but at half time in that game, I took one before the game and 2 at half time, and I was like, look, I'll do anything I can to play. If me coming on for 10 minutes helps create a chance that we end up winning the game, I'll do it. So, because I want the club to get promoted as well. So, and I thought the club had a better chance of me playing some part rather than being an operating table. So, I wanted to do that, not just for me. I wanted to do it for the team and the club. But when I came on, I was nowhere near it. It was it's almost like running. If you've ever got pins and needles in your foot, it was like running on pins and needles from my calf down. That was what I was feeling like. So, no, I wasn't fit. But listen, I tried, Jack. I rolled the dice, and unfortunately it didn't work.
I feel like I don't want to mention it, but I feel like it's okay to, considering what's happened. That Charlton game, probably the lowest I felt as a Sunderland fan. How was the dressing room afterwards?
It's kind of like any dressing rooms I've been in where we've lost trophies or we've lost big occasions. Normally there's not much said. It's just heads and hands and people reflecting and people thinking. There wasn't really anything that was to be said. Just everybody just absolutely distraught because, was it the 95th minute, 96th minute they scored? And it's not as if Charlton were really playing well. We weren't playing well the second half either, but at least get it to extra time. And everybody was just distraught. I think the biggest thing was that was in our hands 5-6 weeks before that, to then have to go to the playoff final and then lose in that manner. No, there was nothing to be said. It was just really, really, really sombre.
Do you know the way the goal was scored? Because I don't know if anyone else felt this. I didn't celebrate it because I didn't know who had scored. The way it went in, the way he just passed it back, and it said 1-0 on the scoreboard, and I was like, eh?
No,
I actually
it was almost
didn't
like
click.
it never went in. I wish it did stay that way. It was just, it was, no, it was a bit surreal as well. Like I said, Jack didn't say much. None of the coaching staff really said much. It's just, everybody's just deflated, completely deflated. And then it's, oh, by the way, lads, we're back on the bus. It's a 7-hour bus journey back to, and I was like, I'm not going back on that bus. So I was like, I'm not getting back on that bus, so I just stayed down.
Should have got a helicopter.
Should I? Would have been fine though, the club were paying for it.
Exactly, mate.
You know, right?
Had a bad foot.
Yeah.
Talking of Charlie Methven, literally a few months after that, no, actually a day after that, I think a day after that, I sat in a room with him and did a podcast. And as I was saying before, it's on Netflix if people have seen it. I wasn't the biggest fan. We had a bit of a to and fro from it. But if I remember the main thing that he said in it was, oh, next season we're going to get 100 points.
Yeah.
Now, I remember thinking at the time, you fucking idiot. You fucking absolute idiot. When the players hear that, you're literally less than 24 hours after losing the player final in the worst possible way. How much pressure does that add that he's coming on a podcast, a fan podcast, and going, yeah, we're going to get 100 points?
It didn't add any pressure because every player thought he was an idiot. So, no, every player just like disregarded him. So, unless Charlie again on Twitter, just ignore him. That was pretty much what it was like with Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for the manager though, that stuff doesn't help.
Yeah, because he was saying we got like 90 points or something like that, and he was like, so next season I have to go for 100. And then the Netflix documentary comes out of him going mental in the box that he's in, saying change it and shouting, and his wife telling him to calm down. Like,
oh, at Wembley.
Check a trade, yeah. Change
Sorry,
it.
I forgot, what level did he play at again, Charlie?
Yeah, he did.
What did he play for? Right, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, honestly, and these are things that happened at Sunderland. You know what I mean? So I've try working with it.
I don't know if anyone else feels quite cathartic speaking about it now because of where we've got to. No? Okay, cool. Phil Parkinson. I think we all know the situation with Phil Parkinson, right? And I think on what transpired. I think it's an interesting thing because it's easy to talk about this person and like that person. Why did that person get dropped, X, Y, and Z? But mental health's a big thing. Mental health's a big thing in football. And you basically got like a lot of shite aimed at you at that period.
Yeah.
Numerous different things because of podcasts coming out, whatever it may be, people saying things, and just social media the way it was. Ultimately, you weren't playing football for the first time in your career. To your knowledge and to what you remember, what happened? And most importantly, how difficult was the period for you?
No, it was one of the lowest periods of my career because I was getting messages on, like I'm on Instagram, but I'm private, so I'm not open. I was getting messages of loads of different Sunderland fans. Get out of our club, you're this, you're that. And then the hardest thing for me was the fact that Phil Parkinson never actually addressed the situation.
Yeah.
He never actually said what the reason was for dropping me. So it led to all these rumours of apparently I was bullying young lads, and then apparently I had a fight with them, and a fight with someone else. So, and any time I got asked, I just thought it might have been the McDonald's incident as well. Me and Chris Maguire sat at McDonald's, because it was right after that happened. Funnily enough, the full team were actually literally right behind that camera. So when the guy was taking the picture, the full team they timed it well. They just walked in right after me. But then it was me and Chris Maguire after a game. Loads of things get said, but the way it was handled was terribly. I was coming in for training, so at that point we played Gillingham. Listen, Phil Parkinson for me, if you think he's doing well just now, yeah, he's doing well just now because he's the guy's on 30-40 grand a week that his company are paying for. He ain't a good manager. I've seen it myself. But I came in, and it was after the Gillingham game. We played Gillingham twice, didn't we, during the week? It was like we played them in the Cup, then we had them away again on the Saturday. And I was on the bench and I was an unused sub. But the weird thing was he used to confide in me and ask me things like, oh, what are the group like? Do you think we should give him an extra day off and stuff like that? So I thought I got on really well with him before that. Didn't think he was a good manager, but I got on well with him. And then one day his assistant, Baby Parky, the small one, used to... You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I do.
So he used to get called Baby Parky. So Baby Parky comes in and he's like... But like, I hadn't even get changed first, so normally... I walked into his restroom and he went, oh, Gates, Gaffers want to see you upstairs. And I was like, 2 seconds, I'll just get changed. And he was like, no, he wants to see you now. And I was like, right, something bad's coming if they're not even letting me get changed. And he just was like, Gates don't want you around the place anymore, too negative. And I was like, excuse me? Like, sorry, I don't understand what's going on here. And he was like, I'm sure you're done, don't want you around the place anymore. And I was like, for what? What have I done? Like, I don't understand what I've done wrong. He went, too negative for me. And I went, well, forgive me for jumping through hoops, but we're 15th in the league. we're out of the Checker Trade, we're out of the FA Cup, and we're out of the League Cup. So do you expect everybody to be just running here with smiles on their faces? I went, but this is a winning club. I went, but regardless of that, like, can you please tell me what exactly I've done? And he couldn't actually tell me what I'd done. So he kind of was like, look, we'll sort out a programme for you. Obviously you can still train and stuff. Nick Allen, be the fitness coach, he'll sort stuff out with you. And that's it. So, find yourself a new club or whatever. And I went, good luck for the rest of the season. I'll be here longer than you. And he went, yeah, whatever. And that was it. And in the end, I was there longer than him.
Did you ever find out the...
Cheers.
Did you ever find out the reason why, or was it always remained a mystery?
So there was the rumours of I was bullying younger players, and then whenever that came up, I used to say, well, I would be fined and I'd be sacked if that was the case, and I'm now training with under 23s, who are the younger players. So I'm not sure that one adds up. Through different channels, Lee Johnson told me that there was a couple of players that had went to him saying that I was too much for them in the dressing room. Not in terms of my personality, but I was too demanding. And I was like, well, we'll be in League One forever then if that's the case, if you want yes men like that.
Was that the most difficult part for you, the fact that, for right or for wrong, like you were in a division where historically the club had never been, you had never been, and it felt like it did feel endless. It felt like we were never getting out of it, and you were one of the old heads in the dressing room that were meant to be leading the people through that, and it didn't connect.
Honestly, I actually went, I apologised to him. I apologised to him like 3 different times. I says, look, I don't know what I'm apologising for, but if you feel that I've spoke to you in a wrong way in front of the players or whatever, all I want to do is play football. And this is at the point where, results, because he was almost quite clever. He almost made himself look amazing by doing it, because see, at that point, the results picked up, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people were like, oh, McGeady was the problem. Everybody will remember it, won't they? Oh, McGeady maybe was the problem. Then when the results started tailing off again, it just went back to the usual Phil Parkinson. I actually apologised to him and said, look, what can I do to play again? I just want to play football. And he was like, let me have a think about it. And then he came back and said, no, this happened twice. I was like, Phil, I'll apologise to you in front of the whole team and say I was wrong, I was this, I was that. Whatever I've done, for whatever mistake I've made, I'll apologise. And he went, no. So then at this point, I phoned Stuart Donald and I says, look, Stuart, you're paying me to play for the reserves. Like, what is going on here? And he was like, oh, honestly, I thought it would have came to a head whether he'd have been sacked or you'd have left. He's now still here, so so none of them happened. He went, I thought he might have been sacked and you're still here, these are both still here, so we need to sort this out. And then the next day, Phil brought me in and he said, look, I'm thinking about bringing you back in the squad, but you have to be extra fit to get the best out of you. And I was like, right, okay. So I was doing extra running at training, going across to the pitch with the 23s coach, and I was doing runs in the afternoon. Bearing in mind I'd been training for 6 months, I wasn't unfit. But what I then discovered was he was trying to drag it out until the January window opened. That was the longer it went. I went, Phil, I can't get any fitter. I was like, Phil, I cannot get any fitter. When can I play? He went, well, Embo's doing running as well. And I went, Embo was out for 6 weeks with a hammy operation, or 6 weeks with a hammy injury. He done 2 weeks run, he's back in the first team. I felt he was trying to drag it out so that I'd eventually leave. And I was 2 days away from probably signing for a team in Australia. And then just that, all the stars aligned, and Lee Johnson took over and phoned me on the Friday night and said, you want to start against Wigan tomorrow? And I was like that, and that was my career back on track. Hadn't played for a full year.
Before I talk about Lee Johnson, I've got a question here, and I feel bad asking about it. It's on a completely separate, unrelated point. Okay. What's your McDonald's order?
I'm normally a Big Mac, so Big Mac, fries, milkshake. But you know the weird thing is, right, and I blame a lot of Sunderland fans for this as well. Me and Chris Maguire were in the picture together, right? How come it was only me that got it?
People expected it from Chris Maguire.
Any time I seen my name mentioned in social media or anything, it'd be, McGeady's away getting a Big Mac. You've seen it. Everybody would have seen it. But Chris Maguire never got it.
Do you think it's interesting that, because it's maybe a moot point, but I don't know, but my brother-in-law played professionally for a little bit, and around the time he was playing professionally, he seen that photo and he went, what the fuck's everyone whinging
It's
about?
normal. It's normal.
Calorie intake, isn't it? You have to get your calories back in. Yeah.
We were travelling back from Gillingham, and every single time the bus driver had to stop, everybody would jump off and get a McDonald's or a Burger King or something from M&S, whatever. So that was just normal. But because of the manner of the results at the time, that got blown out of proportion.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why we're still talking about a 7-year on, I guess.
Yeah.
You talked about Lee Johnson before, played under him twice. Look,
Yeah.
I remember at the time it was COVID, so you've had this year out, and like I think things were always accentuated for everyone in life when COVID happened because it was a lonely time. Like I don't want to go back into it, but like I think we can all go back into that time, remember what it was like. I remember the club made a fuss out of it on the Friday night or the Saturday morning. It was like your number flashed up your shirt and everyone's like, oh fucking hell, McGeady's back in the team here. But you have all this big like kind of thing that you're coming back into the team and you think, oh, this is brilliant. Then you come out to no fans. Like, how weird was that period? Not just in general, but also that day you come back to no one, so you can't even see if the fans are happy about it or not.
Yeah, you can't even see if the fans want you back and
Yeah,
if the fans are happy to see you back. And it's just a strange period for everybody. I think some players during COVID I felt actually outperformed with having no fans there and not having fans at the Stadium of Light where, you know, a misplaced pass, you hear a boo, you hear a groan. I think some players we had outperformed. But yeah, for me it was, like I said, I just went for a full year without even playing a game for Sunderland, and to get called into play, of course I was going to take it. That was all I wanted to do, was play for Sunderland.
Talked about Lee Johnson. You played under him twice. He's a character.
Oh, he's a character, yeah.
Like a real character.
What kind of character would you say he's like? I've got one in my head.
I've like...
David Brent.
Yeah, like I'll be open and honest, and it doesn't really matter if he cares that I say this. I tried to get him on the podcast at one point, and a lovely guy. I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but he sent a message to Tom Flanagan saying that he'd listened to a podcast I did, and they were talking about him being dropped at Bolton, and the first thing he said was, "All right, Tom, I'm just on the bike at David Lloyd's," and it was like, "Why the fuck's he said that?" Like, he doesn't need to give that point.
It's got
like,
no reason to be in that conversation whatsoever.
Yeah, like he adds things to it. And the question I wanted to ask was, do Sharks worry about Monday?
That what, sorry?
Do Sharks worry about Monday? Did you ever find that out?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Do Sharks worry about Monday? No, they just go about munching everything. Not sure that's got any correlation to us playing Bristol Rovers away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, like Lee Johnson was... He's an intelligent guy, and I saying he brought me back in from the cold, and he bought loyalty off me immediately. So I felt indebted to Lee Johnson because he brought me back in. And look, I played some good football for him, but I did feel a sense of loyalty towards him because he'd done that. Quite clever, quite good management, man management in a way. Whereas, like, so you know, when the lads in the dressing room were going like that, the wee man's at it again at that. Like the one a day from Lee Johnson, at least one a day, where everybody going, wee man's at it again, and you go, Hobbits, he said this time. Oh, Zola said you've got to hit the third quartile of the ball. And we're going like so it was. Yeah, we're all hitting free kicks at training, and he steps up and he's like, Zola told me, yeah, you've got to hit the outside quartile of the ball, and it goes up and under. And we're like, go and have a shot then, mate. And he just absolutely passes it over the wall, and he's like, there you go. This guy, man, he had at least one a day, but like for me he was good, but a lot of the lads didn't like him, so when they were all in a bit of a bitching fest about him, I would kind of have to go. Like, pretty much every opposition player I played against would be like, what's your manager like? And I'd be like, what have you heard? And they'd be like, heard he's a sausage. And I'd be like, yeah, I can see why you'd say that, but for me he's been really good. So I couldn't really say anything bad about him from that point of view, but he did some weird things. He's got this new breed of manager where they have these new ideas, you know, a little bit like kind of Arteta and All or Nothing, you know, with the light bulb stuff. They've got these kind of quirky ideas to try and bring the squads together. But we had the Danish centre-half that we got on loan from West Ham.
Frederick Alvarez. Fucking hell, that's a...
I was going to say Freddie, but Frederick Alvarez, yeah. So I used to do these strange games and, you know, like defuse the bomb and stuff day before games. Remind me of this one, Ross Stewart, right, Shrewsbury away. Remind me to tell you this one so I don't forget it after this. Frederick Alves had earrings in, so diamond earrings every single day, and Lee Johnson kept telling him to take him out, so then he just never did. And then we went into the meeting room one day, so you've been in the media room at the Academy Light, and it's tiered back, so we're in there, and he's got like playing cards with him, but the playing cards are actually like this size, and he's saying, right guys, we're going to play a game of higher or lower for Freddie to keep his earrings. So I know, just bizarre, right? So, but he's holding the playing cards that are like this size, and I'm at the back going like that. Guys, these are real size playing cards, you know that? These are actual size playing cards. And Jamie McAllister's pissed himself laughing, but he ends up winning these earrings. Like, but that was his way of trying to bring the team together. Like, it's just to do these weird things. But sorry, the Ross Stewart one.
Ross Stewart.
So the day I done my knee at Shrewsbury away, we travelled down there. We did a defuse the bomb. We were all in a group. There's a bomb in the middle of the floor, and you've got to get a rope, and you've got to try and get the bomb out the middle of the floor with the rope. And then we went and done an escape room. An escape room for 2 hours, right? An escape room, like I don't find them fun, right? But that was the day of a game. Then obviously we played the game, and he's like, Ross Stewart, what the fuck's the matter with you? You absolutely fucked. And I'm like, Gaffer, he's done an escape room for 2 hours. Was that the best preparation? Do you know what I mean? Just mad person, yeah. Like, good coach when he got his ideas across, right? But I then seen the other side of him at Hibs when, for me, gloves were off. It was like, if I see something, I'm saying it. So I knew I wasn't getting a new contract at Hibs. I'd pretty much been injured the whole season. I tore my left hamstring off the bone. I was done, but I kept asking him, like, what's happening next season? And he'd be like, I'll see you on the 19th. And I'm like, it's the 1st. Like, can you not just tell me, like, if I'm getting a new contract or not? And then it went on, and he pushed it on another week. And then one of the lads came in, and the lads are high-fiving him. And they're like, oh, well done, your new contract. And I was like, oh, that's it. I'm just going to go and see him. So I went in to see him. We had a bit of a chat. He says, no, there's going to be nothing there for you. And I went, just tell me there's nothing there for me. I'm a big boy. You don't need to wait till 3 weeks to tell me. So then we started going into stuff. He went, oh, you don't seem too happy. And I was like, no, I'm not too happy. There's a lot of things you've done wrong here.
There's so many Lee Johnson stories that are great, to the point where I couldn't stand him when he managed Sunderland, if I'm honest, and I now like him because the stories are brilliant. But Charlie White told me about the story where he used to kick the ball around, and whoever ended up with the ball last.
Oh, when he came out the hamper?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's a match day. That's a match day? It's a match day. So he used to play this game like 5 minutes before the door opened, when the manager came in. Everybody threw a ball at each other, and whoever was last with the ball got a fine or whatever. And then we're doing it one day, and it was Steve Aziz was the kit man at the time, and he just wheels this hamper through, and then Lee Johnson jumps out like that. Way! But we're all just like that, like this. This is the manager of Sunderland. This is the manager of Sunderland here, jumping out the hamper on a match day. Just bizarre. Some bizarre goings on there. But
an interesting character, we can say.
Yeah.
You played under Grayson, Coleman, Ross, Parkinson, Johnson, then Alex Neil. I know he's not well liked because he went to fucking Stoke, but what was it that Alex Neil brought to the dressing room that changed us getting promoted from basically feeling like we never were going to?
What did he change?
Like, what did he bring that the others didn't?
He put us to 3-5-2. He made us harder to beat. That was all we done. Literally, that's all we done. He brought a bit more of a sternness and a bit more of a, he was a bit more severe in the way he spoke to players and stuff. But in terms of tactics and things like that, no, he made it quite simple. He put the stats up in front of us, and he said, like, we were second or third in the league for shots conceded. Mm-hmm. And he went, these have to change for us to be up there. And then that's what he done. He didn't do anything fancy.
Surprised he went to Stoke?
No.
Why?
Because, look, Alex was a footballer, played the majority of his career in Scotland for Hamilton Accies. Then I think got the job at Norwich. I think when players don't have a highly successful football career, they look for the money on the other side of it. Yeah. So I think I actually said that to someone when I was leaving. I said, look, see the first big offer that comes in for him, it'll be away. I wouldn't go as far as to say a mercenary, but someone who looks after themselves. So I wasn't surprised, no.
I remember the playoff final, 2-0 up. And I remember thinking at the time in Wembley, like, look, I was happy, but I remember thinking, I wonder if you bring Geeds on. Because it was quite clear that, I know the priority is the team winning.
Priority is winning, of course it is, yeah.
But did it upset you a bit? They didn't get a chance to see
Yeah,
it?
it did, because it probably upset me even more was the game before that. Was all I did, like, so I got on well with Alex. I was injured the majority of the time, but he was like, don't rush back from injury because you have already done and you've put yourself back. Like, you're a best player. I know how good you are. Don't worry about it. You get your knee right. Get ready for the end of the season. So I was like, that's great. So then I did eventually get back fit, and I was on the bench for the Morecambe game. We had to win to guarantee playoffs. And he put Dan Neil on number 10 ahead of me. So I was like, bit strange. Like, no big deal, but bit strange. Next game is the Sheffield Wednesday home leg against Sheffield Wednesday, the home leg of the first leg of the playoff final, semi-final, sorry. Probably my last ever game at the Stadium of Light. I thought, he'll give me 5 minutes here, you know. Never got on. Second leg, naming the stand. So I had another 10 days after that, and I thought, he actually pulled me in the day of the game, and I went, oh, here we go. And he went, no, I'm going to put you in the bench. I'm leaving Jack Clark out as well. I want you to speak to Jack and get around Jack and get his head right. I was like, yeah, no problem doing that. I never fell out with him, whatsoever. We never had an argument, but just gets to, we're winning 2-0 and there's 5 minutes left, and he brings on Nathan Broadhead, and Brody could hardly run. Brody had one hammy, and he brought him on ahead of me, and I was like, did you really have to do that? At least gives us a little bit of time to say bye to the fans, and yeah, so that was upsetting, yeah, disappointing. I never really get a chance to say bye, you know, so yeah, that was the disappointing part, but cheers.
Just obviously a couple of ones, like quick fire almost. There's only 2 players that remain from the time that you played. So you've got Luke O'Nien, who's the obvious one. You were there. He came in all the way through. And Trey, the really young boy. Why do you think those two have had the staying power that have made them remain vital members of a squad that's achieving in the high levels of the Premier League when they started in League One?
I think with Trey, it would be potential. Trey had that potential. And as he's went up the leagues, he's gotten better. Luke, I think, has kind of moulded himself into a kind of jack of all trades. I mean, Luke can play any position, which goes to his advantage. He can play left mid, he can play centre half, left back, centre. I mean, he even played up front for us sometimes, didn't he? Played up front against Rotherham.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke O'Nien up front, do you know what I mean? But he can play a variety of positions, and he's managed to be probably an integral part of each team that's come through. And then obviously this season, most other players would probably get to the January and probably thinking, I want to start playing games, can I get a loan move? But he's been happy to stick it there and stick it out and manage to get himself in the team. So through probably, you know, hard work with Luke. Whereas Trey, I would say Trey had the potential, and Trey's grown and become a better player.
Final question, might be a bit of an emotional one here, but you won the league with your boyhood club. Everyone knows you're a Celtic fan. Played in the Champions League, 93 international caps. Despite all that, in the kind of interactions, just to be honest, between me and you that I've had, and there's been a few, I've always felt like you really cared about Sunderland, which is commendable considering what you've done beforehand and the things you've done. Looking back on your career now that you've had 2 years to kind of reflect on it a little bit, what did your time at Sunderland mean to you?
Well, whenever anybody asks, you know, what was the favourite part of your career, your favourite time, or the favourite club you played at, mine's have always been 2. It's always been Celtic and Sunderland, whenever anybody asks me that. I loved playing for Sunderland. I had some bad games, as everybody does. Had some bad times, but I don't know, you know, when you click with a club, I loved playing my football at the Stadium of Light. I loved the fans, I loved the passion in the area. I didn't like where we were in terms of, you know, being in League One, but I wanted to be part of that group that got us back up. Honestly, it's hard to say, but put into words how much I loved it here. I wish I could have stayed, and if I was probably not as hot-headed as I was, and probably not as vocal with my opinions, and I think there might have been a role for me. Maybe after that season, but yeah, me and Christian butted heads too many times, so I can never see that happening. But I was gutted when I left, and I loved the area. My son was born in Sunderland, but no, playing for Sunderland was amazing. One of the best periods of my career.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aiden McGeady.
Yeah, thanks. Cheers.